subscribes and get it back over to the Midday show. Kill him with kindness, guys.
Go get him.
Kindness.
What is up, beautiful people? Welcome to How to Trade, formerly known as the Midday Show. That is your girl Adara, and I'm Sharif. And we're going to wait for everyone to come on over from the other stream, as we have our own stream now, Adara, so that's kind of a good thing. We already have Darwin in the chat doing his thing. He's dancing already. Shout out to Two Pamps. OG Darwin. We got Bears versus Bulls. The pet detective gracing us with his presence. Ace Ventura as well as JC Finance. What is up, my friend? Thank you for joining Adara and I today on How to Trade. We're going to be talking all about the gap and go strategy all week long. All right, we got Stock Up, we got Chantel Street, we got AV Hope, we got Renata Haddad, we got Big Bob Dub, Bala Nambi, Sebastian Ponzi, Fonzie, Peter Panda, Richardson, we got Charlie Taft, Matthew Booth. We got Fiddlebeck, Aaron, and Joanna Brewster. Hi, y'all, to you as well. We got Ms. A, Michael Lloyd, Big Michael Lloyd, Sebastian, Christopher Wagner. We have the gauntlet. Thank you for joining Adara and I again on How to Trade. We'll be talking about the gap and go strategy. Specifically today, we'll be talking about waiting for that initial pump, then the retracement, and then we'll weasel our way into the trade. That is what is going to be talked about today. But before we get to that, anything that you are looking at today, Miss A?
Yeah, I just had took a mild L on the TQQs, which I'll talk about. I'm really happy with how I managed the trade. One thing I'm really trying to emphasize is because yesterday it was basically flat, slightly red, but pretty much flat on the day yesterday. But my biggest thing I took from that was the trade management was sound. So even if the trades were not 100% there, the management was sound. I was able to extricate myself properly. Same happened with this TQQ trade. I liked the fact that we kept bouncing off this level. It was kind of rangy. I watched, got involved. I risked about 10 pennies. I want to see what we did around that 20s area. We broke below. I got out. Really boring trade. But I know as well, before we get started, I know Pop and Short had a super chat. They wanted to look at some small cap gappers.
Oh,
so
yes,
maybe we could
absolutely.
take a look at those ahead
We
of
shall do that.
the lesson. There's a lot of them moving today, and I even have my eye on some of them. Which one have you been looking at?
Yeah, I'll get to them in 1 second.
yeah, no
I'm just
worries.
in the Apple trade, so I was just putting in my stop.
Okay, nice.
But I'm looking for a 174 defend here on the dead one, so we'll see. Stop's already in place. We'll give this a couple of shekels for VWAP 174 defend on AAPL, up 1/3%. But yeah, I will not need to be asked twice to show my small cap gapper chart. I'll always take you up on that offer, Derek. Here we go. ELYM leading the charge on my scanner at the moment, up a cool 35%. Here's the look, guys, on ELYM. We are at VWAP right now. So this is make or break time for this name, especially with respect to my mechanics for trading these small cap cappers. They have to be trading above VWAP for me to get long. Otherwise, I don't touch them. So this is an area of importance, at least for me, on this name, ELYM. We'll see how this one ends up doing. If I was weaseling my way into the trade, I'd be weaseling in here, okay? So that's what I want to say about that. AGBA, Agra Cadabra, this one was up big in the pre. Got off that 2 1/3 close. We got up to 4 1/3. So it was a decent move there, $2 on a $4 name. Who could say no to that? But it did its dance with no pants here at the volume weighted average price at around 3 2/3. But it's since given up the ghost at that level, and now it's trading below the volume weighted average price down into that 3 1/3. So that's not tradable for me currently. But this one is WGS. Hello there. That one looks really good. Dara's looking at me. She's like, who are you talking to, bro? 2.25 million shares done on the day. Look, it's not a big time volume player, but it has a beautiful looking chart. The shallow retracements are all bouncing off the 10 period. This one has not printed one 5-minute candle below the 10 period. You've had a couple of wicks, not even a couple, one. And it was this one here at 9:40 a.m. That's how strong this monster is. I would personally be looking to get in, if I was to get in on this name, on a shallower retracement into the 10 period EMA on the 5-minute chart. The moving averages are different depending on what you're looking at. All right, we're going to wet our beak here on some profits on the dead one. Nice hold here at 174 back into the $0.25. We'll see what we get possibly moving forward. So yeah, WGS, definitely a good look for a small cap gapper today. But so is ABEO. Not as big of a percentage mover as WGS, its older brother, but this one looking good here too, Adara. 344, the closing print. We knocked on the door 417, trying our best to hold above that whole dollar level at 4. This one also has been dancing with the 10-period EMA. This is the only time it touched it, and this retracement here from 1025 to 1035, each and every print, including the wicks, held the 10-period exponential moving average. It's coming close to it right now, and here's the beautiful part about this trade. The 10 EMA, which features in as support, is also at the whole dollar level. So there is confluence between the price action support and the technical indicator support. They are both pointing at $4. This could be an interesting dip trade at the whole dollar level on ABEO. And then this is Mullen from yesterday. I didn't really have eyes on it. It's very much an inside day from Mullen yesterday. You can see this one ran in the aftermarket into about 7 3/4. We are ensconced by yesterday's price action, but we did bounce off yesterday's close. So that level of support is featuring in today's trading here on MULN. Yesterday we closed at around 5 3/4. So good look for whoever was patient enough to wait for this one to go red to green. So good look there at the $6, 5 3/4 level on Mullen. We'll keep eyes on it, and I'll also keep eyes on my scanner to make sure that I'm not missing any of these good small cap gappers that could possibly be trending, Adara.
Yeah, there's so many small cap gappers. Someone else in the chat as well, I think it was Hurt Scrambler, mentioning CYCC, which is cyclicel. That one is actually in the watch list. Check that out. Check out our watch list. CYCC, I would say, is not really as strong as some of the other names, and it has broken both of Sharif's cardinal small cap rules. It is decidedly below VWAP, and it did not even get close to that pre-market high, unfortunately. So CYCC is going to have to cycle sell off my small cap watch list personally.
Love it.
That being said, if you are looking for kind of levels here, we did make a slightly higher low for now. If you are involved in this name, I'd be interested to see what we do here above VWAP. We really struggled at this 220 level twice. First time we get to 220, this is around 805 in the pre. Kind of tried to get there, no, to blow VWAP. Then we bounce back, try to dip our heads out once again at 220, which is now above VWAP. And once again, we have all of these very bearish wicks here. We just can't do it. CYCC does not really want to see above that VWAP area right now. But I think if we do try 220 again, things could get a little bit interesting. Thank you so much from Pop and Short for the $2 super chat. Top tier small cap review. Love you guys. Heart emoji. Thank you so much to Sharif for the small cap review. You've taught me like everything I know about small caps.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. Again, I never have to be persuaded to talk about small caps, baby. So shout out to Pop and Short as well. I was going to say we were about to wet our beak here at the $0.50 on AAPL, but it just rejected the 10 period on the, the 10 period on the 5 minute and came back into the $0.25. So I'm going to pack my patience with this one. I wanted to see if we could at least have a top end of the range retracement. I'm talking about that 174.70. You'll see if you look at the 5 minute here on the dead one, aka Apple. I always forget that we have newer viewers, and maybe people have no idea what I'm talking about when I say Papa.
Oh,
like,
that's true
people don't know who Papa is if you're a newer viewer. You don't know. We call him Papa.
Everybody's Papa.
Yeah, all right. So I'm going to try to remember that not everybody's an OG viewer, and I'll try to use people's real names. I'm sorry. Anyway, we have a bit of a top end range here. You can make the case between that 174 2/3 to about 170. You could say 175, but I feel like the better end of the range is 174 2/3 to 174 3/4. We're the top end of the range. Sometimes you wick into the 3/4, sometimes you top out at the 2/3. So if we get anything in and around there, I'd be very happy with it. Big Kyle Burdett. Okay, this is a long one. Sharif, I heard Biggs in the opening roll call. I stand by my belief there can only be one. I challenge all comers for the big title at the next Real Trading get-together. Can only be one. Big Kyle. If I could like that more than one, like now you can like the super chats, I'd like it more than once. And the Chilean Nightmare said, what? You won't be able to handle the quickening, my boy. That's what the Chilean Nightmare says to you. So be careful with that. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett. Make sure to tag me, Kyle, if you're going to take the SPY short today so we can announce your levels to everybody. Shout out to Big Kyle. All right, Adara, it's already like 10 past the hour. We haven't even alluded to the lesson du jour. So
haven't even hinted, haven't even foreshadowed.
No,
haven't even had a cliffhanger.
We've been talking. We've been talking up a storm. All right, let's get to work, everybody. We are talking about the gap and go strategy all week. Specifically today, we're going to be talking about fading the open. So let's get to it. $6 in the money on the Tesla short. The Katina Man is now $6 in the moolah on that Tesla short as it's about to go 5% down the day. Keep your eye out on that. And if you're following Neil and the Katina Man's trades, get over to more Trader TV Live. You'll be able to see their positions all day while Adara and I are on how to trade. So the gap and go strategy is a popular intraday trading tactic, but what if the initial surge seems a little too enthusiastic? Enter fading the open, a counterintuitive approach that aims to capitalize on short-term pullbacks within a trending stock. So short-term pullbacks within a trending stock. So this lesson dives into the concept, its execution, and some of the key considerations. Let's get right to it. So what are we talking about when we mean the fade, right? So imagine a stock price gaps up significantly at the open. The classic gap and go strategy would have you buy in anticipation of the trend continuing. So you put like something like a market on open order. It was already gapping up 3% from the close yesterday. You're anticipating that 3 may turn into 5 or 6%. So you put a market on open order and come what may. There is a little bit of a different strategy that we're going to talk about today. The fading the open, however, takes the opposite approach. You wait for a pullback, a small dip in the price. That's what we're talking about when we say pullback. After the initial big jump, then enter the trade assuming the overall trend will still hold. Okay? Oh, I totally forgot to put these things. What's going on over there? The Katina Man was running his data for the month to see what he performed the best on in April of this year. Believe it or not, guys, it's the future. The T triple Qs. So you're just going to be the futures trader from now on, right? Tesla's been pretty good too. So, all right. So that's what we're talking about there. So the classic gap and go has you buy at the open in anticipation of the trend continuation. What we're talking about is fading, waiting for that pullback. Oh, really, eh? The Katina Man only traded Microsoft once this month, which is, you know, he's assuming is a record for him. Because you're always on the Mag 7, right? Like, that's basically your modus operandi. So shout out to him. And here is a look at what we mean by gap. So look at this stock here. I don't even know what this is because it's kind of pixelated. Closed out at 379 on whatever day. The next day, the opening print comes in, and all of a sudden, we're gapping up to 410. So that's what we mean when we talk about the gap and go strategy. The gap and go is essentially something happened while the market was closed that caused the stock or whatever. We're looking at the instrument in question to gap up overnight while the market was asleep, while the market was dormant, right? And so your assumption is, if you missed the lesson yesterday, is that that gap will continue subsequent to the bell ringing, that 9:30 bell. So that's why I mentioned at the top of the show, the classic gap and go strategy, you're putting a market on open order and you're come what may. But we're going to talk about a little bit of a different way to do it. So why would you wait for the fade? Why not just do an MMO and, come what may? There are two main reasons to consider fading the open. The first is profit taking. The initial surge often attracts short-term traders looking for quick profit. Their selling can cause a pullback, creating an entry point for you. And that's what we're really talking about here. The individuals who are either getting in short at whatever level or taking profits right after that initial surge at the open. But there can also be false breakouts, and that's why we wait for the fade. Not all gaps represent genuine trends. Sometimes they're just overreactions. Fading allows you to potentially avoid buying into a stock that might actually reverse course pretty quickly. So by waiting for that fade, and you may miss it, there may be no fade, right? You actually try to verify, to confirm that this is a pullback within strength rather than an entire reversal. So how do we put this whole thing into practice, really? What steps do we have to take? First and foremost, identify gapping stocks. We talked about this yesterday, how to do it. Get yourself a scanner. If you're not signed up with Trade Ideas or Benzinga, they both offer amazing scanners, and you can use our codes there to get a good amount of percentage off. So make sure you're researching that. TraderTV20, thank you for that, Katina. So the first thing you're doing is you're getting yourself a scanner and you're identifying gapping stocks. Use a stock screener or watch list to find stocks that gap up or down, if you want to take this the other way, significantly at the open. Look for stocks with high trading volume on the gap for stronger signals. We mentioned the importance of volume yesterday because if something's gapping up on light volume, it may not have that much interest and you might end up fading. However, if there's a lot of participation, you know, chances are it could continue to run. Second thing, you're waiting for the pullback. So you've ID'd a stock that's gapping up 2 to 5%, whatever it is. Now the market is about to, the bell's about to ring at 9:30. You're going to wait for either to pop up and then look for a momentary pullback. So don't jump in right away. Let the price action develop. Look for a pullback towards the gap or a key area of support from a previous level, like a previous day, before considering an entry. And then your entry and your stop loss, as important as anything else, I'd say. Once you see the pullback, consider placing a limit order slightly above the pullback low for a bullish gap, obviously, to ensure that you get the desired entry price. Always set a stop loss order below the pullback low to limit potential losses. I would say not always, but if there's another good area of support below that pullback low that you like, maybe you want to put your support or your stop loss there. And here is an example of a gap fade. This is a gap down and a continuation using support and resistance. So you have that gap down and it continues to fade. And so that is your resistance level because we're shorting, right? And that's your support level right there. Some other considerations to keep in mind though. So not for every gap. And what I mean by that, fading isn't suitable for all gaps. Strong trends may not offer a significant pullback, and that is part and parcel of this business. By using the fading strategy, you may miss out on that big move because it just may not give you a significant enough pullback or may not pull back at all. So that is one risk that you could encounter by using this strategy. And there's risk management as well. Always prioritize risk management. A seemingly small pullback could turn into a larger reversal. Use proper stop loss orders and position sizing to help avoid that. And confirmation, super important here. Consider using technical indicators like RSI or MACD or even your moving averages to confirm the overall trend before entering. And remember, fading the open is a bit of an advanced strategy because it is at the open, so it is a bit of a tougher move, and you're going to have the emotional ability to be able to deal with the swings that come with the open. If you've ever traded the open before, just have a look, right? So I hope that helps. Adira.
Yeah, I have to say as well too. As someone who's never traded the open, it does seem it's very going to be a different beast, right? Like at How to Trade on the midday, I've exclusively traded during the midday, except for my first day where I traded a little bit in the sim near close. But the point is, you're really going to have different levels of volatility, right? So if you're more used to trading at this time of day, it's a little bit more of a slower, a more relaxing, not relaxing always, but it gives you, the pace is a bit different, right? So just be aware of that. Also, the market had a little bit of a trip to the downside, and I said, Adira, you don't want to go long, you want to wait for some rejections, you want to go short. Super happy with the SOXL short. This is an avenge trade. I was trying to get short this 40.63s. We missed the entry by 1 penny. And then we head to the downside. So I was a little bit pressed, but I said, Adira, you don't want to force your way into this trade. That is not going to be how this works. You need to wait, see level you like. If we come back, retest it, fail, that's when you get back involved in the short. So I'm proud of myself for being a bit patient, which, as I talk about quite frequently here, not always my strong suit, patience. But we did get involved. I wanted to see what we did here at the bottom of this earlier base in the pre, around that 40s area. We did initially have a little bit of a hard time with it. That's why I got short. Now we're kind of coming back a little bit, but we're still not able to break above 40.10. My area that I'm watching is 40.14, that earlier little pop and drop there at the top of that little range I liked. If we break above 40.14, bye-bye SOXL. I'm looking for a low of day break on this, which is often not how I trade, but the plan is to take out 2/3 of the position at the low of day break, then save a piece for the dream. And the dream might not last very long. It is me. Patience is still not my best virtue, but it's something I want to keep an eye on, and I'm proud of myself for taking a trade that is not really often in my bag or in my wheelhouse. How are you doing? I know you had took a bite out of the apple earlier to great effect. And you
Yeah,
had,
well, while we were talking on the lesson, we stopped out because it broke through 174.
Okay.
So I have a couple of trades that I want to talk about that I took before the bell. Ram Ram or Chile Nightmare. Oh, it is Ram Ram. Hello, Ram Ram. What'd you say? Ram Ram, say in my ear because I can't hear you. All right, long here at 434 on Meta. Now, let me explain why I got in at 434 on Meta. So this was an interesting area over here. Let me bring in my, where is it? There it is. Did I chart this level? Yes, okay. So Meta was just basically a 50-period moving average retracement. So this is the level. This is the 1 minute on Meta. So this is the bell right here, 50-period bounce. 940, 50-period bounce. 950, 50-period bounce. I'm gonna help you guys guess. 1005, 50-period bounce. 1015, 50-period bounce. 1030, say it with me, 50-period bounce. So I was like, all right, bro, how many times are we gonna get a 50-period bounce on the one and I'm just gonna watch this? So I took the 434 50-period bounce, and we took it for $1.50, but that was probably the worst mistake I made all day because, well, have a look at this. It kept going, baby. It didn't stop. It went through, I took $1.50 there at the best. We got out 435.5 for our second week wetter, but this monster made its way up into 439.5. It knocked on the door essentially of the $10 level at 40.40. So right now it found support at 435. So Meta is trending up. No question about that. The higher lows are obvious here. It's just about where do we get in, because on that last retracement, we broke the 50 period quite decisively. So it's no longer going to be a 50 period bounce, or is it? Because while this could be a deeper retracements, the shallower retracements, we always talk about this with the 10 period, could end up bouncing off the 50 period again, which is exactly what it's doing right now. This hammer candle seems to be finding support at 436, right where the 50 period is featuring. Now, the deeper retracement here came into the volume weighted average price, which is the white line, 435. So I like Meta possibly here if it does hold up at this 50 period and maybe prints a newer high at 437. We'll look maybe to feature in that one again, Adair.
Yeah, hopefully let's just slide into Meta's DMs and get involved in that trade. Best of Zuck. But yeah, so right now we are in SOXL still. Nothing to report here. Continuing to try to edge lower. I am trying to be patient. Emphasis on try. As Yoda might say, there's no try, there's only do. So we're gonna wait here. We're gonna see if we break below that low of day, we're gonna stay in. If we don't, I'll take some out here and potentially save pieces for dreams, because I do find I am at my best when it comes to trading when I am a bit scalpier. So that's what we're gonna be going for, scalping. Ashish Bake says, could Tesla go any lower? Let's take a look at Tesla. I know earlier Sean put his stop for Tesla at 186 on in the chat there. So let's take a look at Tesla and see how it's doing. Yeah, this is to me like continuing to kind of push to the downside a little bit. We did have right now 2 green candles, but we're still below that 90 MA. I think we are continuing to see a downtrend, right? Like I can't say for sure it will go down lower, it'll go down X amount lower, but we are in a downtrend still, Anish, I will say that. For TSLA, we're still seeing continued down movements for a lot of these mega cap names as well. NVIDIA I'm looking at for a short as well, but right now just shorting the chips as a whole with that SOXL, keeping an eye on NVDA. There was someone in the chat as well asking if anybody's looking at AMD or Amazon into earnings. So let's pull up there should not be an F in that ticker, typo central, AMD. Exactly flat right now and kind of rangy, not in like the type of clean range way I usually like, but certainly some chop and turn here. Generally that 160 area earlier, 160.40 coming into 161.40 gives you about $1. Now though, we broke above that previous base, which was, you know, sometimes we'll see support and resistance flip. Looks like AMD does not care because it's trying to push above that previous support. So that could be interesting heading into earnings here. Let's look at the daily chart and see what Lisa Sue will do. I like that you're wearing your Pepsi Blue in honor of Lisa Sue's Pepsi Blazers.
I have actually a sick blue jacket that I could, if she beats on earnings tomorrow, like if she smokes it with her MI 300, I will wear my blue blazer tomorrow in pay homage to Lisa Su. I'll do it. I wore my leather jacket last year for Jensen at the big desk.
Really?
I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll do it again.
Okay.
I'm buying all those chips myself. They're like 40,000 a pop, bro. You know what I mean. You know what I mean, Neil. We got to joke around a little bit. Neil says, look, man, it's not her earnings. It's AMD, and the company's more than her. Well, obviously, I know that. We're just kidding. Neil. Well, sorry, not Neil. But, anybody who's interested. Eh? Intel is at low the day since, Neil. And we can't blame it all on Patty Gelsinger. No, but seriously, though, Intel down 1 2/3, coming into that, well, it's broken 31 now. It was dancing with 31 earlier, and now it's below 31, below volume-weighted average price as well. So Tesla just did something that I was waiting for it to do, and I was too busy making jokes about Lisa Su to take the trade. So it came into the 10 period, and so the shallow retracements have all been 10 period, EMA, 5-minute chart retracements, and this one was no different. The more deeper retracements have been bouncing off the 20, which you saw here at 1045 and 1050. And I literally just was about to put out a short at 185.25, and I did get distracted. So Tesla will not give you all that much time to get your ducks in a row. So I should have been more alive to that. Anyway, Tesla continuing to print lower highs, lower lows. If you're looking at getting in, I personally would be looking at getting in at either the 10-period retracement or the 20-period retracement on TSLA. Now, what else is going on over here? I'm going to be looking to defend goggles at 165. So if Google does come into that 165 area, I'll be looking to defend that area. That is the low at 830 that we got into when we got the numbers there. So I'll be looking to see if that area holds up. On Google, also, I'll be very interested in a break-even defend on the dead one, Apple. So the closing print yesterday on Apple, 173.5. We're basically 173 3/4 right now. If we do get to yesterday's closing print on AAPL, I will be interested in going long on Apple at those levels, but you have to talk about the shorts here on the Amazonian and the soft one. They're both very, soft one is Microsoft, guys. They're both very down into the right. Again, very similar look to Amazon as there is to Tesla. The shallow retracements all rejecting off the 10 period, exponential on the 5, the deeper retracements rejecting off the 20. The 10 is the green on my chart, the 20 is the yellow. So that's what I'll be looking for there. It seems like it's a bit of a down day on some of these Mag 7 names. So if I'll be looking for retracements to get short.
Yeah, I think shorts are definitely, I'm looking for the same thing. It is definitely not, although it's close to May, right now, it's not short weather outside, but it's short weather in this market. Throw out those jeans, throw out those cargo pants, capri pants, put on the shorts. That's what the market is demanding. I'm still my socks L short. And I'm really proud that I didn't get out the second we kind of skirted towards that 40-10 area, because I said, no, Adara, you want to see 40-14 break above. We did not have that. We did not have that. So I'm pleased as punch that I stayed focused, stayed patient, and stayed in this trade, hoping to turn Sox L into a Sox W. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens there. Shout out to Diggle Boy saying subscribed equals yes. Yeah, if you're enjoying the content, feel free, definitely hit up that like and subscribe. We're always happy to be here every day, bringing some trade ideas, bringing the news, bringing the economic calendar, bringing some puns as well on this show. But yeah, so right now looking at that Sox L, Tesla, as Shrip just mentioned there, coming back into that 184 area. So that's certainly an interesting look. I wish I had more trades and ideas right now. I'm going to be really honest. As things are near low of day, that's usually, as someone who prefers to do range trades, a little bit more of a struggle for me. So I like that Sox L because I took it off the bottom of that previous range when we rejected. So that was really the thesis for that. Right now, though, looks like we're chopping and turning higher. So we'll have to see how much longer this trade lasts. I will look at SoFi, though, because some people were mentioning the move in SoFi. This is a day 2 earnings play for SoFi. So SoFi reported yesterday. Market initially reacted positively, then flew to the downside, continuing to trade lower on this one, but it's kind of bamboozling because we did have a slightly higher high here and a higher low. So this is not, but we're still below VWAP now, mind you. So this isn't really one I have a read on. I want to see what we do with the 9 EMA. If we reject here, that could be a break of that higher high, higher low trend we had starting at the open. So could get a little bit spicy, but right now, I think I'm so fine without trading SoFi at this moment in my life. So let me know what else you guys are looking at. I'm always looking for trade ideas. Right now, my side charts and my ideas are a little bit bereft, so I would love to have some other ideas or things to look at. I'm ready to find some other trades, and I want to get involved in these markets today.
We just took 20 pennies there on the Tesla short. Nice. We're just looking for continuation as it did make a low day back to break even right now. We'll see if it can hold below this 184 small size here just to keep things interesting, people. So we'll see if we can make its way down. Right back down it goes. Is Tesla awfully weak here? Is the Cybertruck on the day or the Model 2? Come into that $0.50 and we'll take it all, baby. We're knocking on the door of the $0.50 here. Well, we're at the $0.00 right now. That's 60 defending. We'll see if we can make our way down into that $0.50 area. We just got to pack our patience. All right, what else is moving here? I'm trying to keep one eye on Tesla. And look, I see that Amazon is below 180, but I've been charting Amazon for the past little while, and this 180 has featured a lot in my charting. So the fact that we're below 180 right now, straddling it from the downside, I am very inclined to look to get a short if we pop into 180 again. And like these ones are not making its way back up. Like look at these are lower highs. So the Amazonian, I don't know if it wants to make its way back into 180. I figured that that would be a more important level. There would be a lot of tug of war happen at 180 between buyers and sellers. But I bet you it has something to do with the fact that we've been at this 180 level a bunch. Yeah, we featured on it April 24th, April 23rd, again on April 26th. So it's not a rinse. It's not a new level for us to get to. So I'll keep an eye on that, Adair.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on SOXL, which was a little bit upsetting here. Tried to get out, missed it by 1 penny. That's okay, SOXL. Keep going to the downside. I'm trying to get out part of this position at this low of day break below here.
Oh, I thought that was an out.
No, it's a little planning
great.
area.
Yeah, well, it's very close.
Well, we're a couple pennies away, so we're going to hope for it out there. But I definitely need to be scalpier in these types of moves. I always say this. This is what gets me in trades is I have a plan, and I just don't scalp out quickly enough, and I miss some of the move. I'm planning on keeping some of this trade in as well. Potentially, I'm okay keeping a third of the position, but I do want some of this out. We're going to go to 80s because I think that might be more realistic now. To see if we can get up part of this position, but we keep on bouncing off 85s. I don't like that at all. So let's see how we do. I do not like that, Sam. I am. So let's see if SOXL gives us some green eggs and ham, some protein in this short. That analogy definitely got away from me. But let's look at Eli Lilly as well. This is a name that I used to trade a lot in the good old sim, but I have not traded since going live and even later in the sim just because the spread on this guy is massive. Right now, it's kind of oscillating right now, but it's over $1. So we did kind of have a bit of a double top here. So we had what looks like it could have been a nice little bull flag formation coming into 795, coming lower here into 775, coming back into 795, and rejecting. So a bit of a double top failure. Definitely some resistance at the 795 area for whatever reason on this LLY. Worth noting, in addition to earnings, and also CEO David Ricks going on CNBC saying they're working towards a pill, a tablet format for those weight loss drugs, which of course is a great catalyst for these names with the weight loss drugs being so strong. It is worth noting, though, the FTC, according to the Wall Street Journal, is looking to crack down on patents for some of these weight loss drugs, including Ozempic. So FTC added again, potentially, could be a bit of a catalyst to watch out for LLY and Novo Nordisk. I said to Sharif earlier today, it's a good week if you are a GLP-1 trader. And I do love to trade these GLP-1 names as long as I can find a way to trade them that I'm a bit more comfortable with now that I'm live. But yeah, Novo Nordisk could be a bit of a flat bottom break, still up on the day, but lower highs and a pretty flat bottom here, 127.80. This could get spicy. SOXL, what are you doing? If you're going to keep doing this, we're just going to get part of you out at 85s and be happy with that. You get what you get. You don't get upset. Although, as you said quite astutely, Sharif, you're always angry as a trader. We're trying to mitigate a bit of that anger and bring that passion, that positivity to these markets. SOXL, get lower, please.
All right, Meta's going again, guys. Here we go. Meta's on its way. Looks like the 438. So keep your eye on that. It seems to be the strongest of the Mag 7 on the day. And is it percentage-wise? Yes, it is. Okay, so percentage-wise, that checks out as well. Did you know what, like you mentioned a good point there, the FTC going after some of these GLP-1 manufacturers for their patents. So do you know? So there is a time duration for biotech patents, right? 10, 15 years, whatever it is, right? But a lot of them, they're so smart. What they do is they change something so simple in the formulation so it changes the chemical compound, so they get a new patent and they market it as like either fast acting or whatever else, some sort of benefit accrues in the new one. So they get a new patent at an entirely new 15 years, 20 years, and they sell the old one as like a generic, but then they start smack talking the old one. They're like, oh yeah, you know that one.
Oh, that one's so bad. It's like the one formula difference. That's brilliant, Sharif.
Yeah, and that's how they keep the revenue popping there. That's the biotech trick.
Thank you for
yeah, just thought I'd let you
Good
know.
to know.
It's interesting stuff, right? Because I'm in the biz, so
yeah, you have
always see
insight.
it. Yeah. But Meta on the way up, like we said, in 438. It did pop in there a dare at a 437.80, so it's close here. Also, what else we got? Nah, I'm not liking anything here except Meta. The goggles is retracing into the 10 period. So I was looking 165 long on Google because of this print over here at 830. So I was looking to defend that. But look at these top bottoming tail candles, into the quarter dollar. 165 and a quarter, for whatever reason, seems to be featuring here as a level of support. So I want to see a couple of things. One, do we break and hold above the 10 period, or is this just a regular run-of-the-mill retracement into a key level of resistance? That's number one. If we get that rejection, then maybe we see a drop into 165. Number two, do we hold up at 166? Because that's where the 20 period is. So if we get a break and hold, and it looks like we're rejecting the 10 period yet again here on goggles, a nice 20 penny dump off the 10 period there, we'll see what happens with Google. But Meta seems to be the strongest name on the block, even though it put in a huge topping tail candle right now. I don't like any of these Mag 7 names, even as shorts. I feel I'm not reading them that well, or they're not setting up for me that well. So we'll switch to the small cap gappers because we got a backup plan. And ELYM absolutely held the volume weighted average price. We were yapping about this one for a while. It held VWAP, and it gave you a nice little bump there off that 680, went into 720. Now it looks like it's coming into VWAP again. Careful, sometimes the second time or the third time around is not as good as the first, especially when it looks like we may be putting a bit of a double top there. But, take a good setup on it. WGS and ABEO both featuring here as strong names. I'll look to maybe get something off one of these ones because I don't like the way that we're setting up right now. All right, let's see what the chat is talking about here. Oh yeah, you guys are absolutely welcome. I love always talking about this kind of stuff. If I can, talk about some stuff that I actually know, I will absolutely let you guys know. What are we talking? GD says CGC. Let's have a look at the marijuana names on the day. Let's see, because I haven't looked at weed in a while.
So Miss Mary Jane is doing.
All right, what do we got here? Well, we're not doing much today on weed, to be honest with you. It's not CGC I'd be looking at, to be honest with you. It's EVGN, up nicely, but yeah, it's done no shares, 28,000 shares. I can't touch that. Yeah, I don't know, not for me today. This isn't my kind of look, and there's really no catalyst on the group, so I'm going to have to respectfully decline.
Yeah, I like the respectful declining. You're not like, oh, like CGC, you're not working for me. You're just saying like, oh, maybe tomorrow.
Right?
Maybe next.
Yeah.
I think there'll be a lot of things in play tomorrow with Papa Powell, that is for sure. And we're going to have the run-up of that. So we're going to have to deal with all of the people in the market getting all excited ahead of that tomorrow. So I think how to trade time, always an interesting time ahead of those Jerome Powell sessions. Okay. But yeah, so I'm looking at TQQs. I got out of the SOXL, which I'll talk about in a second, but right now, still looking at the TQQs. Someone was asking me in the chat, does this look like a bear flag? And I mean, it still looks bearish, period, right? We did, but I see what you mean. We had that move down here, starting 55.60, coming down into this 54.60, so about $1 consolidated a bit, looks like it's breaking to the downside. If we have a retest of that 56.56 on the TQs and we fail, I'll take it short there. But I want to make sure I'm patient, waiting for that retest. And that's what I like about today's strategy as well, the gap and go fade. It gives you the opportunity to not get involved right away. You're not going chasing waterfalls. You're just going to wait till the market has a little bit of a pause, then you can get back involved. And that's the type of setup I want to take on the TQs. That being said, I did miss my low of daybreak on SOXL, but I am not going to have any FOMO. I'm going to have JOMO because I still took about like 10 pennies in this, and I'm happy I was able to get some profit. Now, of course, I could have been a little bit more patient and gotten out and waited here for that low of daybreak I wanted. However, I'm actually happy I didn't because I didn't like what we were doing on the book here. We were getting very close back into my entry point and with a viciousness. Furthermore, we couldn't even break below 85s, which to me was like, I didn't like that failure to break 85s. It looked like it was setting up for a higher low. I said, Adara, get out. So we're not going to have any FOMO, although we can marvel at the excellence of this SOXL move. So maybe I took a little bit of a SOXL, but I still took some profits, and so I'm not going to poo-poo that. I'll put it that way. Don't love that terminology. Also, someone was asking about Bitcoin setting up for a breakdown. Whoever you were, you are 100% correct there. IBIT. Bless you. Breaking to the downside here, decidedly below that 9 EMA. Nice little curl, paused a little bit stagnant here for IBIT around that 34.70 area. Continuing to curl to the downside. I want to see if we break the low of day here, 34.45. I keep missing this IBIT short, so I'm a bit sore about missing IBIT, but it's still on my side chart, still on my mind. What are other people looking at here? I want to see some other things to keep an eye on. In the SoFi cup and handle, says Mikey DFS. Let's take a look at that. I looked at SoFi. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not really seeing a cup and handle. I still think the level for me for SoFi is if we're going to try to see a reversal here like we did starting around 955 when we had these higher lows, higher highs, we have to continue to see that pattern. That rejection of the 9 EMA we had, to me, is kind of overshadowing everything else. Plus, we're about to make a lower low from this 669 area. So I'm going to be honest to me, SoFi still looks a little bit bearish. That's just my take. I think if we can break above that 9 EMA and make a new higher high above that 677 area, my opinions are going to change. But right now, my opinion is it unfortunately does not have a spot in the esteemed side chart. How are you doing?
All right. I fat-fingered on Google. We got in long at the $0.25, and I took everything out by accident. So that's 2 fat fingers today, if anybody's counting. 1 on the show, 1 not on the show. So hopefully we'll do a little bit better going forward. I'm keeping my eye on AAPL. Not for a breakout trade or anything like that, but Apple's been quite rangy. Earlier it was ranging below 175 with a almost a $0.50, you could say a third of a dollar bottom. Most of them held up at around a third of a dollar. Now we're right back into that $1 area at 174. But I'm not inclined to short. I'm not inclined to short right at the whole dollar. I'd be looking for a nice VWAP retracement into 174.10 before I look to get short on Apple. This bottoming tail candle here, this is a nice looking defend by the longs at this level. And the level is interesting. It's at 60 penny level, and that was the pre-market top there before the bell. So interesting hold up at those levels. Should have been more alive to that. But I'll be looking possibly to get short at the volume weighted average price. Big Kyle Burdett sent me a screenshot of his shorts on the SPY Ram. And I'm going to send them to you because I can't put it up over here. So Ram, I'm sending it to you right now. And I want to shout out Big Kyle and his excellent SPY shorts there. So if you have that up when you get a chance, Ram, let me know so we can show Big Kyle's trade there on the SPY. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett, man. Wow, Amazon. Amazon knows no bottom. It is coming down. There it goes. We were talking about a 180 possible retracement, more like 180 resistance. And that's what happens, I guess, when a level features too many times. It really loses its importance, and that's what we see with 180 today, because it didn't really hold up there. It actually used it as a resistance level once it broke below it. 178.70 now, LOD, below that 179 level on AMZN. Thank you, Ram. There's Big Kyle short. As you can see, those entries on the top there, those green arrows, he took, that's a lot of defending there, Kyle. Lots of beak weighting as well. The best, obviously, bottom wick right below that green moving average line, I'm assuming. Shout out to Big Kyle Burdett. I'm assuming that, is that TradingView? What program is that, Kyle? Let me know. But yeah,
nice look.
It's a great look. Shout out to you, Kyle. I know that you love to trade futures and you like to go short. So you like that kind of setup. Keep your eye on what Big Kyle's saying.
Yeah, big Kyle Burdett there. Shout out to you and thank you for sharing those trades. I always say this, always something I'm giving an Oscar speech, but I love being a part of this community and I love that everybody has different things to bring. And right now, Soxel is bringing me a redemption tour. I don't want to call this a revenge trade. I was happy with that trade, but I said to Dara, if you like the level, if you like that break, see what we do with that retest. I know I was watching the cues for that, but I was like, nah, I'm kind of still more interested in Soxel. So we did put the socks back on, hopped into the semiconductor short once again. I'm going to be eyeing 60s here. I'm going to take out part of this at 60s because that was an area that we had a little bit of a dance with earlier. So I want to take out part of the position there. We'll be saving pieces for dreams. Should we break below 60s? If we break above 85s, which like I said was that area I was watching like a hawk, on the other side, that's where I'll be getting out. So as long as I'm trying to make more than I am risking, I am pleased as punch. Risking about 11 cents, trying to make minimum 14. Again, my risk to reward ratios are very specific, but it's all good. We are, Soxel like gave me a bait and switch there. We dipped right into my level and then we dipped right out. So there we go, part filled, SOXL, pleased as punch. And this is why I talk about like redemption or revenge trades versus revenge trade. Even though someone pointed out to me, avenge and revenge basically do mean the same thing. I think with a revenge trade, you're kind of going John Wick to the market, right? You're like, oh, I'm so upset, we're gonna burn everything down. With avenge trade, maybe something didn't work out. Maybe it's a name that you looked at before and it just didn't go according to plan, but you say, hey name, hey stock, hey Soxel, you and I are gonna work at this together and we're gonna come to a solution. It's kind of more like mediation than revenge trading. Do you know what I mean? It's like the equivalent of restorative justice, I guess, if we're gonna think of the criminology term for it. So that's what I'm going for with my Soxel, breaking below 50s, I think. Yes, Soxel talking to you. Pleased as punch. Let's try to punch out of this very soon. For real, such a friendly chat, says Small Goblin. I love that name also. Small Goblin, what a great name. I had to call that out. It looks like you are getting into wigs. So hopefully wigs will stay on the heads and not fly off. This seems like a very intense time in these markets, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. Bring them all to everybody here. Yeah.
I know. This is a bit of a riskier trade. Let's call a spade, Adara. So let's see if this one can move up at least and get me and not make me look that bad. Look, the reason I got into this trade is simple. It's a VWAP retracement on a name that hasn't touched VWAP since 955. I know because I said that it's going to tank on me and I'm going to end up looking bad, but you know, whatever, it's okay. If you don't take the trades, you don't get to make any money. So the white line is the volume weighted average price. You know how I feel about these small cap gappers and defending that VWAP level. So we'll see what we get on this WGS. Let me give you some deets on this. So here we go, coming into my level. Oh, so I'm sitting at 75s, I guess. So it'll have to cross because we were printing 72s there. So WGS, $434 million market cap. The float on it, a little, it's not big, but it's not small either. 18.2 million shares. That's a decent amount. You know, it's not like a Chinese small cap gapper that trades at, you know, half a million shares. So we'll keep an eye on that. Already long the trade, put my stop in and put in the profit taker as well. So we'll see if that ends up defending VWAP. The other one that I'm keeping my eye on was ELYM because it was hugging VWAP, but now it is kind of breaking below it on a wicking basis. It doesn't look like on a closing basis quite yet, so we shall keep eyes on that. ABEO also coming back right into that $4 area. Last time we came back into $4, we were at the 10 period. So a little bit of a different story. Now we're at the 20 period. So that same price action support comes in, but we're at a different exponential moving average, which to me says a deeper retracement, which makes the likelihood of the level giving way a greater. So we'll see if that ends up panning out or what happens there. Keeping an eye, bang, on WGS.
Nice.
We get the fill as it does bounce off VWAP. Let's see if we can make a move, possibly into that 17.5. I'm not going to give this not moving my stop. If this one breaks VWAP with the same level that I had prior to getting in, I want to see if it makes its way 17.5. If it does, be great. We'll see.
Wins on wigs. Shout out to Sharif there for that. Keeping the wig glue permanently on that stop. Congrats on that trade, though,
Thank you.
seriously. As much as I pun, it always comes from a place of support. So nice look there. Nice peak wetter. Congrats to Sharif. I did have that SOX L trade, which I was really happy was a SOX W. But right now I want to take, I appreciate that. Right now I want to take a look at PayPal for, there was somebody, Sparsh Cabra, asking about PayPal long. So for me right now, we are at kind of a critical level for PayPal. Look at this little pre-market area we dance with, basically we're gonna call it 68 because it basically is a 67.95. We'll call it 68. 68 here, certainly an area that we keep touching. That was a pre-market area. We go below, then we continue to sort of the upside. We come back, we bounce at the 68, but then we make a decisively lower high. And we do so with a little bearish candle coming in at 69.50. Then we dip a little bit lower, we make a higher low, mind you, but then we come again and find resistance at the 69.50 before continuing to the downside. So for me, Sparsh Cabra, the levels I am looking at are going to be a defend and a hold of this 68 area, more like 67.90, I guess, right? We're still below the 90 MA, but I think for PayPal, the 90 MA is going to matter a little bit less to me than what we do at two key areas. First of these is going to be that 68.50. Look at that little pop. I think to me that 68.50 is key. We've got about 55 pennies to get there. Then if we can break above that 69.50 area that we have twice now as an area of resistance, that's going to be huge. Right now, though, I have to say it does look like it could be a little bit of a flat bottom break, and I say that because we have had continued lower highs and a flat bottom. Not one that I have enough confidence in to get involved either way. I think, like I said, I'll be more interested depending on if or what we do at 68.50 and 69.50, but that's my look for PYPL. Sparsh, I have to say, I think the bearish case is a little bit more growly than the bullish case right now.
Like it.
So also quickly, I want to talk about SOX L. Quickly, if I may. This was an avenge or redemption, whatever word you want to use there, trade, and I was pleased as punch about it. I got involved here at the short. I got involved initially, got out too early, but I was okay with it. I was like, eh. But then when we came back to this area, I said, Adara, that base was huge. If we fail to break above that base, get involved. I got involved 39.74s. I was going to risk to 39.85s. I don't even think we broke above 39.80s. Took out most of this position at that 39.60s area, then got out the rest around that 39.50. Was not there for the low of day break again, but still happy with how I traded this and how I defended this. Also, valid point here coming from Quantran saying that John Wick literally did avenge his wife and his dog. But I guess maybe more what I'm talking about when I say avenge trading or revenge trading is your approach to it, right? So that's what I said, restorative justice. I want to take less of like a scorched earth approach to these stocks and more of like a let's talk it out, let's get together, mediate, find a solution that works for us. SOX L, thank you for working with me, shaking his hand, please his punch. And I see you are still involved in Wick.
I am. Well, we're going to let this one go. I put my beak wetter on the north side of 17. If it triggers, it triggers. It doesn't, then I get stopped out. Simple as that. I want to point out, guys, that on the NQ June contract, on the 4 hour, because we started putting bottoming tail candles here. So I said, what's going on with 17.7 1/3? Why are we bottoming out here? Well, I flipped to the 4 hour and often looked at time frame by intraday traders, and we are at the 50 period, right at the 50 period on the 4 hour. So I'm looking for a possible defend of this 50 period here on a retracement down. Someone was asking what a retracement was earlier in the chat. It's something when, you know, when you've moved up and then you come back down, you're retracing back down. It can equally be used as, you know, to describe shorts. Something's retracing back north. I mean, there's no hard and fast rule that you can't say that. So, at least not that I know of. So I am, you know, interested possibly in going long on the future here. Call them a crazy. Oh, we're down 0.89 on the day on the NQ. June contract down 0.78 on the ES. The Dow taking it right in the mouth, 0.85, and then the Russell taking it on the back of the head, 1.40 to the downside.
I'm just loving the analogies you're using.
It's Tuesday and I got good sleep, so whatever.
That's awesome.
You know?
That's awesome.
Anyway, I'm really, I'm thinking about going long on the future. I'm going to wait a little bit. I don't need to jump in right away. Let's see if we get a couple of more green candles at this level. Shout out to Lone. I see you, sir. I see you. So we'll see exactly what we get there. Go WGS. Cross 17, you punk. Let's go. I want to get that fill. VWAP hold on WGS, that was the entire trade. In case you're just joining us, looking for fill at 17.10 a dare.
Wigs are flying, spirits are high, analogies are great. We are so happy to be here.
Absolutely.
As always, thank you guys all for joining and tuning in with us. There is a little bit of a bullish candle happening on IBIT and a lot of its crypto friends, and then Mara just kind of made a bit of a move down here, so we're gonna have to wait and see. But so I've generally for crypto, I look at Mara, CleanSpark, IBIT, and a skosh of Riot. Riot especially interesting today because it reports after close. Riot might be the cleanest look for me in terms of the general lower lows, lower highs. But again, the bullish candles are what I want to talk about for a lot of these crypto names right now. We did break a little bit lower. In the Riot's case, we break down below 1040, then we come right back up. So to me, these wicks to the downside with movement to the upside show that these wicks are not sustainable. We want that upside. IBIT and these crypto friends want all the smoke to the upside. So I have to be cognizant of that. With that in mind, I don't have a great read yet. Come on, Adair. There's a T in IBIT. Let's get going there. IBIT. But if we keep, I think IBIT honestly might be the best look for me. If we keep rejecting off that 9 EMA, there's a short to be had there. CleanSpark having a nice clean break, sparking to the upside here off of its little bullish candle move. But if we still can't make that 9 EMA, if we're still in a continued downtrend, I don't have a reason to go long here, so I'm going to be very cautious. I want to put all of these crypto pals on my side chart. I want all the smoke. SOXL coming back into the area of interest that I shorted the second time, that 39.70s, but I don't want to rush into this too quickly. I don't want to give up the gains on that because I really felt confident about both the trades I took on that, and so I don't want to mess up those wins by taking a trade that I only feel marginally okay about. Do you know what I mean? So SOXL, we might have to take a bit of a break there to try not to undo the SOXWs. Riot earning is May 1st, says Ian Blaze. I'm going to check on that. Thank you for telling me. I was seeing, let me look this up. Aftermarket closed today at 4:45. So let's see what else is happening. Yeah, May 1st before market open I'm seeing here as well. Sorry about that. Yeah, I'm seeing a couple different dates there for Riot. Either way, it looks like we will be getting it. Oh, my computer froze. Before.
You want me to take over?
Yeah, I think you might have
sure,
to.
No
Either
problem.
way, we're going to get it before market open tomorrow. Thank you for that, Ian Blaze.
No problem. All right, so keeping an eye on the future, I took a quick scalp on the future, positive on that one. I am a little concerned just because, you know, I'm charting on the 4-hour here and I'm trading on the 5 minutes. So that does concern me because if you're going to trade on the 4-hour, you got to give it 4-hour range, and that's not what I'm doing. So let's see if this one can clear or steer clear of the 10 period to the downside. I'm also a little bit hesitant here because Apple, the dead one, is right back at the volume weighted average price. Just restart.
Okay.
Control Shift Delete. Yeah, Control.
It won't even
delete.
let me
Sorry.
do that.
Eh?
That's why.
It won't even let you do that?
Yeah,
Okay, so then just
I'm
hold
gonna
down
turn
the
off
power
the
button.
thing.
Yeah, exactly. Hold it
Sorry
down.
about that, guys.
It's nothing you can do about it. It's not your fault, right? All right. So keeping an eye here on AAPL as it now takes 174, breaks above the volume weighted average price. Could this be a V-shaped retracement? Could this candle be indicative of what we saw? Like, look at this. Lower high, lower low, lower low, lower low, bottoming tail candle, higher low, higher low, higher low. So kind of looks like it's a rounded bottom, even though, you know, you could say it looks very V-shape-ish. So I'm a little concerned about getting in here, you know. I'm unsure. I got to tell you the truth. I'm unsure about this trade, so I'm going to pack my patience. Especially, I'm trying to look at some other names. Like I see, you know, Google's not putting any higher highs. It's finding resistance also at the 10 period. Same thing with Softy. It looks like it's going to reject on the 20 period here. Tesla looking to reject at the 10 period as well. Same thing with NVIDIA. The Future doing the same thing right at the 10 period. Yeah, this is a bit of a tougher decision for me. So if that's the case, I'm just going to steer clear. Okay, now I am out of WGS, so I should have wet my beak on those profits at 17. So we did give it to the original stop, and now I do get stopped out. Profitable trade, though, on WGS. So happy about that. We'll keep an eye on a lot of these other small cappers. And WGS is still not an incorrect trade. Like, I could get in here. I didn't move up my stop because, well, VWAP, I think, adjusted a little bit. Where is VWAP? At 36, I see. I should have put my stop below the $0.25 because it still hasn't given up VWAP here. I'm talking about WGS, guys. It hasn't given up the ghost on VWAP. So I do get stopped out. If we bounce off this level, I'll definitely be interested to get back in. What else we have? ELYM, surprisingly here, held VWAP. I was almost sure that this was going to break. It did break aggressively below it. So VWAP, what, 83, it dipped down into about 73, 10 pennies or so, bounces right back up, still below 7 on ELYM, another small cap gapper du jour. Those are really all the small cappers that I'm interested in at the moment. I'm going to keep my eye on the futures. If it really gets clear of that 10-period EMA on the future, I may get long here with decent size. Again, the whole futures trade is based on the 4-hour defend. So this 4-hour candle did close. So it did close at 12 now. It wasn't closed when we started. So we do defend the 50 period on this 4-hour candle. Can this one hold up? The 50 period on the 4-hour is right at that 50-point level or just a little bit below it, 17,749, 17,750. So we'll see if that ends up holding up. Yeah, so it does reject off that 10 period for now, but yeah, I'm unsurprised with that. Meta also coming back down a little bit here. Meta has been defending the volume weighted average price all day. Let me know when you're good to go.
I'm good to go. Yeah.
You loaded up?
Yeah, it's just getting all loaded now, but everything's good. Yeah, so thank you so much for
of course,
covering for that. Much appreciated. My computer decided that it was maybe in a little bit of a mood. Maybe it wanted a bit of a nap. Maybe, you know, it was like, I overheard you talking about how well you slept, and it was like, well, that's kind of offensive. I didn't sleep that well. My computer got a little bit salty.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I mean, how dare it,
Sorry.
right? I think that's kind of disrespectful, but like, okay. But it's all good. We fixed it. Thank you again to Sharif for providing that commentary there on Wigs, and shout out to the profitable trade on Wigs as well.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Wigs staying glued onto the head. So nice look on that. What else are people looking at here in this chat? Shorting para at VWAP, says Trader Nick. What thoughts? Let's take a look at Paramount. Because, yeah, Bob Backish will not be back-ish with Paramount. He's being replaced by 3 dudes as CEO. So instead of just one CEO, Bob Backish, the CEO position is being taken over by 3 people. One of them is George Cheeks, and there are 2 other guys as well. I just remember George Cheeks is such a specific name. Sean and I were giving that take on Paramount earnings last night. Check us out in the market recap, 4 to 4:30. And Sean made the kind of astute point that it's always a little bit dicier when you have one position done by one person being replaced by 3 people, right? So interesting take there, worth keeping an eye on there for PARA. Right now, Paramount's getting back-ish to VWAP, shout out to Bob. And look, I think this is a really interesting level, Trader Nick, because look at this rejection. We got to that 1186 level. We tried to break above, and this is a beautiful bearish candle here. We tried to get into 1190, and Paramount's like, no, please, back below VWAP. So we get back below VWAP. We've generally seen these lower highs and lower lows with the exception of a bounce. It's not a perfect double bounce, but sort of around this 1168 area, at least on a wick basis and then on a closing basis. My one thing with this, Trader Nick, is I don't know if we're going to get back to VWAP because we are really struggling right now with 1177. That being said, if we do get back to VWAP, I think there is a lot of evidence that this could be, and again, not advice, just my take on the chart, evidence that we are weak at VWAP on Paramount. And so it might be Paramount for me to put this mountain on my side chart, see if we can get a nice little trade here on Paramount. I like this question from Elon. Hey, Adara, we see you guys scalping a lot. Just wondering if that's a firm's or personal preference. Happy trading. Happy trading to you as well. I just like scalping. I'm going to be really honest. I feel most comfortable scalping. I find that when I have trades that go awry, they're because I don't scalp. That is when I have the biggest issues. And I think also because my trading plans are often built and engineered with scalping in mind, that's why I feel like I'm the most able to have control while I'm scalping, if that makes sense. So for me, at least, a personal preference there as well. So I wanted to kind of address that for Elon in the chat. So what else is happening on these markets? Anything else people want to take a look at? I'm still trying to figure out any other ideas. I like Tesla though. Cybertruck trying to roar back up here to the upside and broke below that 90 MA nicely, but I'm going to be watching what we do at 185. If we reject 185, I might take that Tesla, that Model 2, to the downside. I really want to see what we do at 185 because that was a pretty strong area here. We fought it, then we continued to the downside. So Tesla, if you reject 185, someone might be opening the doors to the Cybertruck. How are
All
you
right,
doing?
we're long Meta, but looks like I'm going to get stopped out here. We looked for a 430. Yeah, I got stopped out. 434 defend at the 50 period. Wrong thing to do. It was not. Look, it was a dip trade, so I was kind of happy that I stuck to the dip trade, but it was not a level that I earmarked, so I'm a little disappointed with myself for not having stuck to the plan. That's all right. We'll look for the next trade. So we are rejecting, it looks like here, that 10 period on the future. So there's really like no, I guess, 4-hour hold here on the 50 period. This is what we're looking at. We're still above the 50 period right now on the 4 on this new candle, but I don't know. I think we may give it up here, as that was a classic 10 period retracement rejection right there on the NQ June contract. All right, goggles is at 165 right now, and it's trying to stay above 165. It's at 98s, 97s. The reason we were talking about Google 165 was this 8:30 a.m. low. It did hold up at that area, but Google, like many of the other Mag 7 names today, it has been rejecting off that 10 period EMA on the retracements, and it does look like it's giving up the ghost at 165 now. In the low 90s goes goggles. So a bit of a tougher look there for Google. As a Meta, I literally got bottom wick on the out on Meta, so that's frustrating. We'll see if we can weasel our way back into that trade. Tesla is at the 20 period, and last time it was at the 20 period, it was a short. So this could be an interesting look here on TSLA. Where's my Tesla chart? Oh, it was supposed to be this one. So we'll just take, there we go. The 20 period on Tesla is right at 185. So that is an interesting look here on Tesla. We'll see if we can get short that name and defend that 185 retracement. Good move up off that 183.01 or so there on TSLA. So we'll see if it can make its way back down. And there it is. Nice, a little move back down. We'll see if we can wet our beak on some profits there on TSLA. Looking for a 185 rejection on the 20 period retracement on Tesla. That's really the crux of this whole trade here. For breaks and holds above 185, that's where my out is. All right, let's keep an eye out. So Google did look like it reclaimed 165 quite quickly. So it's putting in a bit of a hammer candle right now on the 5. Don't want to put too much stock into one candle on goggles, but I did have that 165 level earmarked as an interesting area of support owing to this period over here. If we close above 165 and it's a decent looking candle, like a hammer candle or whatever, something like that, we may be persuaded, and by we I mean me, sorry, persuade to get back in, but I'm gonna have to watch a little bit more to see what I will do going henceforward ad era.
So we had NVDL. It looks like it, you know, it did have a bit of a fall. I was like, cool. Got involved in the short. I said, we're going to see what we do at 20s. We broke above 20s with the viciousness. I got out. Boring trade. We did lose a little bit on this, unfortunately, but we're still up on the day, and I am trying to trade less with P&L. So I'm happy I took a trade that I liked, even though it didn't work out. That's really what I'm trying to hammer home, and that's, you know, as long as I manage it properly, as long as I liked it and I got in for the right reason for me, I can live with that. So please just punch with that trade. And I'm trying to be more pleased as punch with losing trades as well, because as long as you executed it properly, as you've said, you either win or learn. And I learned. Maybe wait a little bit longer for NVIDIA, but either way, happy I took the trade. Vic Jan Novak asking what I think about MSTR long. I have to say, right now, down about 15%. We are below the 90 EMA. We did have that pretty bearish candle here at 1100, trying to break up into 1,110 and unable to do so. However, now we're getting a bit of a bullish candle, kind of trying to make a higher low here around that 1090 area. This is not a type of trade I would take at all, just because it is a $1,000 plus stock. However, I do think there's a couple different factors working here. Vic Jan Novak, I would probably wait for it a little bit to settle to get into a decided uptrend. We're trying to break that downtrend, mind you, trying to peek our head above that 90 EMA. We're decisively stuck below. But I would say it'd be nice to see us actually take out that 1110 area we tried to take out earlier unsuccessfully. To me, that would be kind of an interesting look. I want to wait and see what happens here on this MSTR. Shout out to Sean as well. In live mode, you actually win, learn, and lose. Shout out to Sean. He says all three, and I do actually feel that. So you feel the wins more, you feel the losses more, but you feel the lessons above all else. So I have to say, really happy to be in day 12 of live trading.
I was just about to hit the bang, and then
you, guys.
someone hit the bang for me. All right, couple of trades to update you guys on. Short goggles at the 165 and 15 area. Already wet my beak there on the break of 165. So took some profits out there. We'll see if that one keeps moving down. Also, shorted Tesla. I'm very happy with this trade here because this was a 20-period retracement. I didn't get the top. Even though I should have been alive to the top because it went right into 185. And then we got short at 184.60 and we wet our beak totally there at the 1/3 of a dollar. So we take a nice little move down there on TSLA. It's coming right back up though into those levels. So I am alive to the fact that we have 4-hour price action support on the NQ June contract. Even though we're at the 50-point level, we don't seem to be breaking down below the 50-point level with aggression. A couple of higher low candles right now on the 5-minute NQ chart. So if that's the case, some of these Mag 7 names could start curling back to the high side, and that won't be good for my goggles short. So we're going to keep an eye there to see if the market does break and take that 10 EMA on the 5 right now. It's doing its darndest to get right back up. And this is what I'm talking about in case you're wondering, what is this guy talking about? What 10 EMA? What NQ? This, that, and the other. The NQ is the futures contract for the NASDAQ. It's kind of like, trading the market in general. This is composed of 100 stocks, whereas the S&P is composed of 500. So you could say the S&P, the ES, is more like trading the market. This is more like trading technology stocks. In any event, we try to take the NQ when we have strength or weakness on some of these tech names, especially the Mag 7, the Magnificent 7. I'm just updating for any of the new viewers that maybe not know what I'm talking about. So if this green line over here, the 10 EMA, gets taken on a closing basis by this price action over here, then maybe we should be looking long bias on these names. So we'll see exactly what we get. Goggles is right back into my entry here. So decisions to be made with Google, whether or not I flatten out here. I think I will, and then I'll look to get short again at the 1/3 of a dollar, 165 and a 1/3. That is where the 10 EMA is on Google. And that's where we've been rejecting the entire morning, saving except for this one over here where we're retraced into the 20. If we come back into 165 and a 1/3, I'll be looking to get short again on Google. So we'll see exactly what happens there, Dara.
Yeah, I'm looking to snap up some Snap. I want to get involved in Snapchat. Initially, I was like, maybe this is a short here. And, as I get involved, it does drop a little bit. But I have to say, my impetus for getting long is that generally we have had a little bit of a rangy look, higher highs, higher lows, generally speaking, with this bottom around 15 or so, top initially 15.25, then coming to 15.35. This is strong. This is a day 3 earnings play. So I'm really happy I decided to get involved. For now, we're going to have to wait and see what we do. If we break below 15, I'm out. I'm risking 10 pennies, trying to make minimum 15. I want to see what we do at 15.25. I want all the smoke. Jeez. So I don't think Snapchat's going to give it to me, though. Right now, it's trying to snap up some of my profits from that sock sell, being like, Pac-Man style, trying to take that from me a little bit. But you know what, Snapchat? Happy I took the trade. I saw something I liked. I got involved. I'd be curious to see as well what we do with this little wick earlier, because that was also pretty bullish wick, which was also part of my impetus to get involved. Yeah. We did perch above VWAP. And right now, we're going to be switching things up, seeing what's happening in Neil's lesson of the day. Hit it.
Welcome. Lesson of the day today is going to be what to do when you're right yet wrong at the same time. And what the psychological impact of when you have an idea and it looks really good, it actually ends up really good, but the execution results in a bit of a loss. So, first things first, obviously a winning trade is you get in, you get out at a better price. A bad trade is when you get in and you sell it for lower, you sell short, and you buy back for higher. But what if the move off of the level you traded at ends up being a winning trade? Like, how do you go about adjusting your strategy, if at all, because it's not obvious that you always have to, or how do you sort of deal with the repercussions of it? Now, obviously, over time, it's going to happen to you a lot. So I'm going to start. I have 2 examples today. First is going to be PayPal. Anybody that was listening all week to our live show in the afternoon, in the morning, PayPal earnings breakout on the daily at the 68 level, you're going to see a very clear big resistance level it's looking to break out with room into the mid 70s. So I'm going to like a setup like this pretty much 10 times out of 10. There's no question about it. Like that is as far as I'm concerned, like it's not necessarily an A+ setup in general because you still have to be able to trade it. Where does it gap to? But the overall, if it holds above that bid, I'm going to look for longs, is in that A+ range. So I know I'm going to try the long when it does break out. They report in the morning, so what you're going to have happen is the original break with all of the alpha is going to be right when the earnings come out. But if you take the earnings trade, this is when it broke originally. It trades down to 63. It settles down minutes later and then breaks out the top. So you almost had to take it the second time through. You taking your A+ setup at 7:30 in the morning. Some aren't. I can tell you liquidity was trash in that moment. At one point I tried to get in. I know other traders actually tried to get in. You'd have been chasing. It wouldn't have been good. We wait for the open market to try to put it on. At that point, it's trending down. So now the level you want, you're going to be catching a falling knife and you're going against the grain, but it's still that setup. So if I like the long into this $68 level, your question becomes, how do you manage that trade? My spot is simple entry strategy almost every single time a stock is trending against me. Allow it to make a bottom, regain support, go for the long, stop it out at that support level. So that's the plan of action. It started to work out because it held the higher low. We're able to scalp some out, then it breaks the bottom, we get out. It goes down and makes another fresh low off of the previous day's resistance. I like resistance into support. Once that happens, we took the long, it scalped it, it broke the low again. It ends up holding at like 67.21. The close price ends up being 67 at that point. So you have to ask yourself like a couple of questions. Did you have an execution strategy that allowed you to hold it all the way into here? Let's say maybe you were just flat out, I'm going to buy 68 and give it to this, like 67, 66, 80, and it had room to 75. If that was your plan of action, then you're just long here, risking $1.25. It bounces up, it gives you a little one-to-one, you get some out for some profit, and you're holding for moves into the 70s. If that's your execution strategy, then you shouldn't be doing that scalp game. So the only question I'm asking myself is, did I trade it the way I wanted to? Yes. Was there another way that you could have traded it that also would have worked, and do I want to deploy it next time? In this particular case, my answer is no, but to some traders, it would be take that 68, hold it the 120, because you absolutely love that idea. Now, I don't like doing that when it's trend down. I'd rather be taking those kinds of bigger get in and just hold it when it goes right away. Like if that's a breakout trade where it's trending up and I'm breaking out 68, that's a set it and forget it. But if I'm going against the grain, I like to take the pot shots and limit the loss. So you have to look at it from your own setup and parameters. So that's one where it didn't work even though it bounced, that I'm okay with. Now here's an example of one where it's the same thing, but it's not wish that I traded it differently, but there was another way I could have traded the NVIDIA 885. So originally it was going to plan. There's your triple top on NVIDIA 885. I like the short off that level. As long as it's underneath, I want to be looking for shorts. The first setup, it was all the way down. Economic number came out and tanked us a little further than we expected. So when that happens, when it's here, I'm waiting for there. When we get down to 870, I'm waiting for pre-market high previous close. So it wicks that level. I get the 878.80 short, and I scalp it out pretty quickly. It goes higher low, break out the top, we wait for 885, we have it twice, it starts to work, then run stops at the top. Now this is different from PayPal in that there was something that I should do differently in this particular case. And that's simply, it didn't make that next level move after running that top. Remember when PayPal was still in the pocket, I got wicked out and jumped back in because there was one more shot that it deserved. That was actually the case here with NVIDIA, where I didn't take that last shot at it, which there's your wick out, but there's no reason not to be right back in it either here or here. That did set up. So you just have to ask yourself, is it something when you're reviewing your trade that you had the level right, but there's no way I would have gotten into it again against the grain? That's fine, but make sure you're evaluating it properly, because there are going to be instances where you'll look back and say, oh, I here did my stop, that's all I could do. But you know what? At that point, there was another swing that I should have had at it. I don't mind not taking PayPal a fourth time, but I do mind not taking NVIDIA a third time because that's still set up for the same risk-reward style trade that was valid. So you have to separate different types of outcomes and not just lump it all together. In this particular case, I think it was an easy answer that I should have been NVIDIA one more time, and I don't mind missing out on PayPal. But if you're not getting that granular, you're going to miss out on those bigger opportunities. Always base your results or judge your results based on the strategy that you were deploying. If you follow your plan and lose, that's fine. If you do not follow your plan and miss out on a winning trade or end up in a losing trade, then that needs to be evaluated and corrected. That's your lesson of the day. Not all trades are going to be exactly the same, and if you don't separate the wheat from the chaff, you're going to miss out on some opportunities. So what happens when, even though you were wrong, your level ended up right? What can you do and how can you evaluate it? I hope that helps everybody. Good luck out there.
Thank you very much, Neil. Awesome, eloquent, informative, everything. As always, no, for real though, always get a lot of value out of those lessons, and appreciate Neil definitely dropping them every day. Shout out to him. All right, long the future here. Call me crazy, but I'm going long here because we look like we're doing the roundy bottom that you like so much, Big Kyle there. So this is the look. I even said to Adara, like while Neil was dropping hotlines, I'm like, I feel like I may not have a read on this market just because it just the levels that I keep looking at maybe feature, sometimes they don't. Anyway, I'll kind of have my answer as to whether my long is good or bad, depending on how we dance with this 20 period here. We've been talking all morning about the shallower retracements being rejections off the 10 EMA, the deeper retracements going into the 20. We just got a 20 touch right now and a bit of a sell-off. So we're going to have to see how the future dances with the 20 at the moment. It'll really determine how I do on this here trade. So I'm going to pack my patience and see what happens. Adara, I'm going to send it to you while I put my stop, and then I'm going to start the lesson of the day.
Yeah, of course.
Or
so
the lesson, yeah.
There we go. Yeah, not Neil's lesson of the day,
No.
but our lesson that happens 3 times a day, thrice a day.
There you go.
You can catch usually around the premises of 11, 12, and 1. English, numbers, good times. Also good time, I'm still looking at SPCE. I really like what Neil said about just making sure that if you have levels, take them and try to execute them to the best of your ability. If there's a trade there, and understand if there's precipitating circumstances that make that impossible. With that in mind, I think I need to keep hitting SPCE. I didn't take this the 3rd time because I said I was a little bit skeptical given how we had the first 2 trades. I didn't want to make a mistake and lose them on a 3rd trade. But the 3rd trade, the level was still valid. So I really should have kept that in my mind. So what I'm going to learn from that is, Adara, be more on top of it. So SPCE, we're gonna keep on the side chart, I think, in my mind. I did get out a Snapchat, probably snapped that one up a little bit too quickly, and it did end up snapping to the downside. But I want to explain the impetus for this trade, if I may. So I got involved. I was a little bit worried we could have a bit of a turning point at VWAP, but things did look at that time a little bit bullish. We had not 1, but 2 little bullish wicks to the downside, showing that buyers wanted to continue to run. I was like, cool, we're gonna have a move to the upside. I got involved in the long, didn't work out. I was watching to see what we did right around this 15s area. We made kind of a lower low here, I said. Got it around 15.04, still positive on the day, and always positive in my mindset. Trying to take trades that make sense for me and trying to trade a little bit less on my P&L and trade more on what the charts are telling me, because that's what should be making my choices, not based on the earnings, but based on what is in the charts, what's in the books, and what I want to bring to this here market. But right now, what we're bringing, thank you, to this market is going to be our lesson about fading the open.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Adara, for that segue. We are talking about the gap and go strategy all week and all the variations thereof. Today, we are talking about waiting for that fade to come in on the open. So let's get right to it, baby. So the gap and go strategy is a popular intraday trading tactic. But what if the initial surge seems a little too enthusiastic? Enter fading the open, a counterintuitive approach that aims to capitalize on short-term pullbacks within a trending stock. I'm going to emphasize that, short-term pullbacks within a trending stock. So this lesson dives into the concept, its execution, and some key considerations. So let's get right to it. Understanding the fade. So imagine a stock price gaps up significantly at the open. The classic gap and go strategy would have you buy in anticipation of the trend continuing. So you put something like a market on open order or a quick dip trade to help you continue to pump up because you're basically anticipating that the stock will continue the overnight move and continue up. So that's what the basic gap and go strategy would have you do. However, fading the open takes the opposite approach. You wait for a pullback, a small dip in the price after the initial jump, then enter the trade, assuming the overall trend will still hold. And here is what we see on a bullish gap up. So 398, 397.5 was the close. You pamp up all the way into 410.20 there. That's the closing price at 4 p.m. the next day. That's the opening price at 9:30. And so what you're looking for is a little bit of a dip. And so that's what you got there. See how it retraces a little bit off that 410 open, comes into about it looks like 405.5, 406, something like that. That would have been your entry. So you wait for it to go red to green, or maybe not even red to green. Pop up, come back a little bit back down. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for just an initial hint of weakness, allowing you to weasel into the trade. And by weasel, I mean like actually get it. So why fade? There are two main reasons to consider the fading strategy for the market, for the gap and go. So profit taking. The initial surge often attracts short-term traders looking for a quick profit. Their selling can cause a pullback, creating an entry point for you. So that is really what we are talking about here. But there's also the ever-present issue of false breakouts. How annoying are these, right? Not all gaps represent genuine trends. Sometimes they're just overreactions. So fading and waiting for the fade allows you to potentially avoid buying into a stock that might reverse course quickly. And so it's not really a dip. It's going to be like an entire reversal. So that is a bit of an issue. Keep that in mind. I just want to pause for a second here because I'm unconvinced about this futures trade, but I do have my stop out. We're putting topping tail candles into the into the 17.775 area, and I don't really like that. So I am inclined to end this trade here, but I feel like I want to see it through. I'd rather take the loss and see it through. Call me crazy. All right. So putting this whole strategy into practice, how do we do it? There's 3 ways I'm going to give you guys here. First, you identify gapping stocks. We mentioned yesterday, get yourself a screener or a scanner so you can search by gap, right? On my scanner, I have a column that's exclusively dedicated to gapping stocks. So you can filter them, you can and organize them by the top gappers and then going all the way back down. So get yourself a screener, a scanner, so you can identify gapping stocks. Then wait for the pullback. Don't jump in right away. Let the price action develop. Look for a pullback towards the gap or a key support level. So you want to do some charting to make sure within this gap from the previous close to the overnight open, is there within that gap a key area of support somewhere on the daily chart, maybe the 4 hour, the 1 hour, the half an hour. Do your homework, make sure you've charted it correctly so you're aware of all the gaps, or sorry, you're aware of all the key areas of support and resistance. And then your entry and your stop loss. Once you see a pullback, consider placing a limit order slightly above the pullback low for a bullish gap, obviously, to ensure that you get the desired entry price. Always set a stop loss order below the pullback low to limit your potential losses, and that's what this whole thing is right here. That's where you're putting your stop, and that's your key area of resistance. Shout out to Adara again for throwing that in there. And some other important considerations that you need to take into account: that not every gap is going to be suitable for fading, right? Strong trends might not offer significant pullbacks. So if something gaps up 4%, there's a chance it doesn't even pull back. Or if it may go like way high and then pull back a level to a level that you haven't charted, so you're not comfortable taking. So not every gap is going to allow you to get the fade strategy in there. You also need to consider your risk management. Always prioritize risk management if you want to be around a trade for a long time. A seemingly small pullback could turn into a larger reversal. Make sure you're using proper stop loss orders and position sizing to avoid any big losses. And confirmation, consider using technical indicators like relative strength index or moving averages or moving average convergence divergence to confirm the overall trend before fading. So keep your eye on that. And remember, guys, fading is a bit of an advanced strategy. It takes place at the open, which is a very volatile time of day. There's usually, especially on the MAG 7, you could price swing dollars in seconds, and so you could find yourself on the wrong side of the trade really quickly. Practice on a paper account this strategy before you ever employ real money on the line, and that's just, you know, how you're going to stay afloat in this business. So we end up taking a bit of we didn't take an L on this. Actually, we got stopped out for a little bit of a loss. We're still positive on the TQQs, but the future definitely not holding up at these levels of data. 20-period rejection looking good right now on the future, and everything really rejecting. Microsoft rejecting the 20-period. You also have NVIDIA rejecting the 20-period. Google couldn't even make it up to the 20-period. It ended up rejecting off the 10 yet again. So lots to possibly short right now on this here market.
Yeah, I took a baby short on the TQs just to kind of see what we did around that 54.50 area, because to me, if you want to look at this, we're still seeing higher lows. Do you know what I think you? But also shout out for your beak wetter on the TQQs there as well. Beaks were wet. Right now, the TQQs fighting to keep that higher low here, but it looks like they are losing, continuing to the downside. Also, with TQQs and SQQs in mind, I really want to highlight this question from Tony, which I don't have an answer for, but if anybody in the chat does, please let us know. Tony's saying, is there something like SQQ for the SPY? Like SQQ for QQQ, but anything for the SPY that's smaller? I do not know, Tony, but it's a darn great question, and that's why I wanted to highlight that. If anybody has any answers, let us know. And also, let's take a look at Tesla, because the Cybertruck actually holding up pretty well, continuing to bounce off that 9 EMA area. I did not realize how down we were on the day for Tesla. Down just under 5% on the day, coming into, to me, a very interesting area, this 184.75, and darn, this is a range I missed out on. One's really tight there for a couple 5-minute candles. Top 184.75. Bottom 184.16. That is a cool 60 penny range if you got it. So shout out to any range traders who caught that. I unfortunately missed it. TSLA, though, trying to break out of that range and continue to the high side. Something that Sharif talks about that I've learned a lot from as well is like range per candle. So it gives you a sense of how much are we moving in each candle. Tesla gave you a nice consistent range per candle for a while there, made a big bullish candle, smaller bullish candle, and had what I can only describe as a pretty significant bearish engulfing here. Trying to go from that 185.50, trying to now take out this 184.50. So this could be a $1 range per candle coming in right here in this most recent 5-minute candle on Tesla. SDS is a 2 times inverse, says Elad Perret. So thank you. I guess that is the SPY inverse. Thank you so much, Elad, for letting us know. He also wants to look at DJT. So let's look at DJT in the place to be. DJT levels, please, says Elad. So we just broke a top earlier. That 50-20 area. Sorry, I guess that the true top in terms of where we printed and wicked at in the pre was 50.99. But at least, you know, in terms of what I'm seeing, like true non-dark pool wicks, looks like we are getting near the high of day above 50s, but we're really struggling here. This is an area where we could actually end up getting a little bit of a topping tail candle. We are struggling to have any decisive movement above 50. Worth noting as well for anybody looking at DJT, spread is pretty significant, about 14 pennies. And it's very apt that we're looking at this as Martin Lawrence, shout out to the iconic 90s store and star and former bad boy there. Martin Lawrence, 199 super chat. Thank you so much. DJT trying HOD break, Trump announcement next week. I don't know about the Trump announcement, but I know that there has been some talk about trying to dissuade short selling, so could be a nice catalyst for DJT. Right now, though, we did have a slightly higher low coming in at 11.55. Very wicky, very spready, both of which are not usually great terms for a stock, but we're holding above that 9 EMA pretty nicely. I think if we can break above that high of day, that could be an interesting look. I'll look at the daily chart on this as well to get those levels for Elad and Martin Lawrence. Okay, we're actually coming into a really interesting level in the daily chart. You can tell because I got very excited there. Look at this little chop and churn we had before that steady move to the downside that we began on April 4th. This 52 area is spicy for me, for DJT. I don't know if we'll get to 52. We're struggling with 50-20, but I think if we get to 52, DJT could be an interesting one to keep an eye on. How are you doing?
Decent. Not really in anything right now, but did you know there's Bad Boys 4?
Really? I knew about Bad Boys for what? Bad Boys 4.
Yeah. So there's a new one being shot in Miami, and everyone was posting on social media about like the different videos and stuff like that.
Really?
Yeah, people were taking pictures of them shooting the movie in Miami. So interesting, because the reason I said that is because you said former star.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, he's still the star, right? Like, I mean, they're
that's
shooting
true.
another one, right?
I was not trying
I'm
to.
pumped for it. I'm not gonna lie. I'll tell you the truth.
I haven't
I'm
seen
kind
any of
excited.
them, so the bad boys.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting here on these. This future, we made another lower low there, looking to defend Meta at the break-even level from yesterday. If we can get that, that would just be aces. Go there into the top. So we were about, where are we? Like here, nicely, 40 pennies in the money. That was super quick on META. Oops. Oops. 1 second here. Yeah. So I made a mistake there, and I didn't end up taking the profits. So we'll have to see if that bounces right back up. I'll put it at the $0.25, or we could tank here, because that was not the trade. The trade was to scalp this, but we'll see. We'll see if it holds, it holds. If it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll take an L. So I'm looking to defend Meta at 432.5. That is yesterday's closing print on META. So we come right back down to those levels, and that's why I want to scalp this level super quick, because I did not want it to trend back to the downside. But you know, Meta is super spready. Sometimes you're going to get that 15 penny spread on Meta. Sometimes you're going to get a 20 penny spread on Meta. So we'll have to wait and see if this ends up getting filled or not. The Future did, as I said, print a newer low. Tesla also looked like it wanted to take out some levels to the high side, but it topped out at 185.75, and now it's right back down to breaking 184. So a bit of a tougher look there for TSLA as it tries to recoup and make some higher highs, but alas, it couldn't even make it back into the volume weighted average price. So we'll have to keep eyes on Tesla and some of these other Mag 7 names as they do the dance with important levels. And there we go. We get the fill on Meta. That's a nice 30 penny winner there on this one. Let's see if we can make it up into the 50 period. That's hanging out at 434 on META. Still flat on the day, up technically 0.1%. But, you know, the way that it's looking right now, it's looking awfully bearish, and we may give up the ghost. It's going to be scalping to the long side for me, or just plain old shorts. So we'll continue to keep an eye on that. What else is going on here? Hertz Scrambler says oil is tanking, and more happy I could not be. Well, when you drive a V8, you always cheer for cheap oil. Let me tell you about that. 81.72 is where the CL June contract's printing right now, down 1.1%. So that's a good look. I'm always cheering for cheap oil. This is what I'm talking about over here. There you go, Ram. The CL down 1%, XOM down 3/4, and CVX taking it on the chin 1.8%. But the Uncle Warren stock, 2 1/3% to the downside for Occidental on the day. What are we doing with Meta here? Okay, so we're still nicely in the money. Did touch that $0.50, but I'm looking for that 434 if we can get that. Maybe I shouldn't overstay my welcome on these longs today, because it's not a long type day on these Mag 7 names. So maybe I should be wetting my beak here, Adara, while I'm in the money, because quite frankly, all these other Mag 7 names look awfully bearish. I don't know how you feel about today.
I agree, but
all
first,
I see is nice triangles there.
Thank you so much. Yeah, but first I have to say, you know, you're trying to get your beak wet on Meta, which I very much support, because you want to take those profits. Shout out to you though. Seriously, that's an awesome 30-10 trade. Taking some money from Zuck there. No, I'm joking. But nice short there for Sharif on that. TQQs, yeah, so I was part of this trade. I took this short, and this was planned. I wanted to take this exactly as we got into 50s, which was that area of resistance a little bit earlier. I wanted to keep it, sorry, I guess support that I thought could become a little bit of an area. I just got out. Please just punch. Took about like 17 pennies on that. I was watching, and I'm proud of myself for sticking to my gut here. I wanted to wait for that 54.30 area. Why? Because look at these little candles at 54.30. I think if we get to 54.30 and we were jacked, get in there with the viciousness of Adara. And the TQs were like, we're not going to get a 54.30 Adara. Like, I don't know what you're on, but we're not getting there. So maybe I should have just taken it at 54.25 and had a stop at 54.30. But woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's still on my side chart. If we get back into levels I like, I have no qualms about getting involved. But I'm happy I waited there because I didn't have a plan at that point. We had Dandelions mentioning Snap in the chat, Snapchat, if you will. And yeah, breaking below 15. And this is a nice look. I was trying to go short this after the long didn't work out. Lost a couple pennies on this one according to plan. So not going to lose too much sleep over that, or any sleep if I'm being really honest. But also, I was talking to AV in the chat as well, because AV was saying this looks like it could be a short. I said, yeah, I'm kind of interested if we get back in to another like kind of VWAP 9 EMA rejection. I was a penny shy of getting involved. I wanted to start building a position at 15.05, and Snapchat said you should have snapped up that short initially when you went long, Adara. So it's like, I hear you, Snapchat. We broke below. That's a nice break of 15. If we come back to 15 and we reject, I'm getting involved. I've noticed since going live, a lot of my range trading has kind of evolved, because there's not always going to be ranges in the market, right? It's evolved into taking trades off of support and resistance in the opposite way. So if we fail, getting involved that way, or if we, if we pass this level, getting involved at previous support or resistance, right? So it's taking the impetus of why I like range trades and making it palatable and applicable for trading live. So that's kind of my take there. That's why I like these previous support resistance level trades. It worked for SOXL, which I was really happy we had a couple SOX Ws on just from taking levels I liked. I haven't looked at SOXL for a while though, so let's see how that one's shaking. Right now, yeah, I'm not gonna take this at low of day, but I'm very upset I didn't notice this 39.40 area, because that was a super clean rejection of previous support. But you know what? I rejected SOXL for my side chart, so that's on me. Ready to take some more trades, get some more opportunities, and get back into these markets with a strategy I like.
Okay.
How are you doing?
I'm long Apple, crazy me. I'm trying to defend yesterday's closing print, 173.50, tight stop. Now, forget about that trade. This is the important level. We just broke 17.7, so I'm probably going to get stopped out. Yeah, we just dipped below 17.7, so we're giving up the 100-point level here, or at least momentarily. We're trying to fight right now, a little bit above, a little bit below, but 17.7 just got broken. We're printing in the mid-90s right now. Guys, yesterday we closed out at 17.9, so that's a 200-point drop. We're down technically 209 points, 1.18% in the negatore on the future. Did I get stopped out? I did get stopped out. So I put a really tight stop at that closing print on Apple, and right back up it goes. So that was a stupid area to put a stop. I'm gonna let this price action develop here at the $0.5 level. So if this is a legitimate level, it'll bounce off it, and they'll be able to take something maybe with a worse cost basis, but at least I'll have some confirmation. So we give up, I think we lost 6 pennies there on AAPL, which is fine. Right? That's just part of the game. That's part of the gimmick. Right now, it looks like we are dropping well below 17.7. Now we're at the high mid-80s, now low of day, 17.686. Wow, this market absolutely tanking. The softy is taking it, I would say, the worst. Tesla is the worst, technically, 5.81%. But you could make the argument that, we're giving up some of the profits that we made yesterday. Softy didn't really have anything. There was really no headlines on Microsoft, so it's been, let's call it a spade. It was an earnings loser a little bit here, because it didn't even come close to these highs after the earnings. We've been selling off. This interesting area on the 4-hour here for Softy. We have a double bottom at 492.5. So that's going to be a level that I'm definitely going to be charting for tomorrow. This double bottom on the earnings day, 492.5. That's still, well away, about $2.50 from where we're printing right now. So yeah, interesting look there on Softy. Definitely the weakest of the bunch. Yeah, I'm not going to jump into this short, obviously, so we'll continue to watch that. Let's see what Amazon's doing here. Even though the market's selling off, Amazon seems to be finding a base at 178.5 for whatever reason. You had a couple of rejections off that level, 178.5 or no, 178.75. It seems like it's below 179. Yeah, it is. So it's 178.75, but it's not bouncing off here with any vigor. So there's really no point into taking this trade. What's really tanking right now is Meta. Meta's really, really coming down here. So we took that 432.80 some odd defend for that bounce up on Meta, and look what happened here. So that level from yesterday ends up being almost no support at all. We get one measly 5-minute candle that held up at that level, but that was it. We held up earlier at that level. You can see all the closing prints there in the open. bouncing above that 432 in the third, but not no more. It's not. So down we go with Meta as it looks to print new local lows. I'm still interested in this closing print on Apple, especially if the future starts turning back around 173.50. We're only printing 43s right now. So if the future finds its bottom, I'll be interested in a possible long on Apple. But quite frankly, everything right now, except for Amazon, really is a short.
Yeah, these markets.
Wow.
Yeah, this is wild. These markets are often like a Justin Timberlake song. What goes around comes back around. We'll have movements up and down. So much. Yeah, you're right about that, Mark. I want to touch on as well what you said about Microsoft being an earnings loser, because I don't disagree. And I remember as well, Sean and I were saying at the market recap, Google had that nice move up, and Microsoft was like. And I think that's because its guidance was not as strong as expected. Also, It didn't give out guidance right away. So I was like, hey, that could be a red flag. The revenue guidance did end up being a little bit weaker there for Microsoft. I guess a bit Microsofter than the revenue guidance they expected. Right now, a few pennies in the money on Clean Spark. Wow. Looking for a clean trade. I want a clean break for the low of day to spark some excitement here in these shorts. I've noticed we are mostly getting these volume pops on these nice little moves to the downside. To me, that fills me with joy. I've been trying to pay more attention to volume. Thank you for the bang button for whoever that was. But I like these volume pops and these move down. I'm trying to pay more attention to volume because it does give you a sense of sentiment. Shout out to Sean and Kyle Burdett and everybody for helping me understand the importance of volume in trading. It's something I understood kind of on more of an intellectual level, but seeing how it actually impacts stocks is huge, and paying more active attention to it, I think, has helped. My trades, QQQs continuing to the downside, though I don't really love these little bullish wicks we're getting here. If I'm trying to take shorts, you know what I mean? Let's look at the Qs to kind of show what I'm trying to say here. So we have these wicks to the downside, but we're kind of usurping them with where we actually end up closing in the candle, right? So don't love that. Snapchat decided it did not love where I wanted to go short. I was looking for a 1496 area. I ended up canceling the order because I was like, we're probably not going to get it. We might actually get it now, though. So I'm going to have to keep an eye on this. I don't like that we sort of had a recovery with a couple wicks to the downside here at 1490, so I want to wait and see what we do at 1496. I'm not as confident in this short as I was in that short of the 15 break that I was unable to get to wiggle myself into, weasel myself into, or bamboozle, to use some Sharifisms there. So let's see what we do on these markets. Looking for that clean break to the downside on my Clean Spark, trying to spark some interest in these trades. Brad Gober making good points. Stop trying to find the bottom, go with the trend. And yeah, I think it is, the trend is your friend till the end when it bends. Right now, trying to find where these trends are in these markets, trying to make my scalps, trying to take my trades. And if there's anything you guys are looking at, I'd love to take a look as well. But right now, I see someone is taking a bite out of the old apple.
Yeah, it's we'll have to see how this trade ends up doing. Yeah, I don't think this is the right one. We'll see. Chef Joe, Xpeng CEO, I welcome Tesla, full self-drive, to enter China. Tesla has very good self-driving technology and brand. Yeah, they have very good self-driving technology because, you know, you would know because you use it on your cars. So nobody got that joke. That's all right. That's okay. Creak, 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 creak. Where are the crickets, Ram? Right? There we go. Right on cue.
Oh, I see, because they're Xpeng's taking the...
Well, yeah, they steal their technology. I mean, all you really need to do is just kind of YouTube the video and compare Tesla's full self-drive to Xpeng's. They're a lot, very, very similar there. Of course, yeah, well, Kyle, he's already copying it, my man. So we'll see here. Yeah, I'm not liking anything at the moment. So I'm going to steer clear. I'm going to get out of this Tesla, this Apple long. That's a wrong trade there. So now I think I gave up everything that I made on Apple. So now I'm negative officially on Apple because I bamboozled these trades. We had good trades earlier, but now we go negatory on the name, trying to fight this one long. So maybe I should not be looking longs anymore since the market's down 1 1/5. Hi, that would have been nice. So we'll keep an eye on this. I don't have any trades right now personally, so yeah, we'll just keep looking maybe at some of these small caps there.
Yeah, I think as well, all I have is my Clean Spark, And I'm not even really sure how clean of a trade this is right now. I'm just staying in it and waiting. I don't have a reason to leave until we break above that 62 area. So until we make break above that previous low. PayPal, for some reason, a little part of it is obliterated from my chart here, but I did want to look at PayPal. Quite a few people in the chat, including Cutco Kareem and Abi, mentioning PayPal. So I wanted to look at PayPal again. I said earlier, I like that 68, 69, 795 area, and we're still having a hard time breaking decisively above that. We came back to around the 68, trying to have that rejection again, still below the 90 MA, but right now trying to peep our head back up, right? But like I was kind of saying earlier, I think until we break above that 68.50, because that was a pretty big area earlier, then that 69.50, I think PayPal still looks kind of weak. But I think if you were in a short earlier, you got paid, pal. So PayPal could certainly be your friend if you're taking those shorts. Right now, I don't feel confidently enough in it, and I think the volume has certainly dwindled since those earlier moves that I think right now, unless you get the decisive oomph, that move, that viciousness or swiftness, breaking up above that 68.50 or rejecting that 68.50, I think PayPal is a little bit more subdued. And I don't know if it's going to be a great pal to be trading with today. What else is looking at here for things? What else? That wasn't English. What else is looking at here for things? Good times, words. What else are people looking at here in these markets? Let's kind of see what's happening. And NVIDIA trying to, this is actually a nice double bottom here in NVIDIA. And look at this area it's bouncing off of. That previous low, 867.18. Bounce, bounce, bounce. This is a nice look. Actually kind of rangy on NVIDIA. Because we keep bouncing off that 867 area, coming back into that 875. So this is giving you actually about $8 worth of range. Someone might want to look at NVIDIA. That someone is going to be this person. That being said, I don't like right now, we are kind of having that rejection of the 90 MA. We're struggling with this wick here, this candle a little bit dicey. Still in clean spark, but certainly if anything else sparks my interest, I'll get involved. And I think the big thing sparking my interest is NVIDIA. Kyle Burnett telling me to look at the 15 on NVIDIA over several days. So we're going to zoom out and, oh, this is interesting. NVIDIA 15 over several days. We did kind of have that move up here, and we have been struggling with that 880 a couple times there. Broke above 880, got into 885, and that is today, but kind of continuing to be a little bit lower. There is support, though, on the daily here, or at least on the 15-minute chart. It looks like there is some support at 868. I don't know if I read this properly. I'm still kind of new to reading the 15, but I think if I'm to read it the same way as any other chart, we went from having some resistance around that 868 to seeing some nice support at 868. So I will be keeping my eyes on 868. I know you said you were looking at the small caps there.
I am. I didn't really like anything, though. I looked at WGS, but it's kind of hugging VWAP from the wrong side, the south side, that is, hanging out at 16 and a third, let's say between 16 and a quarter, 16 and a third. It is kind of ranging at that level with the 50 period acting as support and VWAP acting as resistance. So that's a range trade for anybody who's interested. It just tried to take VWAP right now, punching into that 16.5. So look, if it takes it and reclaims the volume weighted average price, I'll have no problem getting into it again, but it's going to have to reclaim it. ABEO, it didn't really give you many opportunities at VWAP. This was the closest we got, I guess. This 394 area, and VWAP at the time was 391. It's kind of doing the dance with $4. Can't really claim it or reject it, so I'm not really inclined to get into a range trade on a small cap. That's not really doing volume, by the way. ELYM is the one that keeps presenting us with opportunities, and every hold up at the volume weighted average price has held. So every retracement, I should say, into the VWAP has held. So VWAP right now is printing 714, 715 on this name. It's at around 745, 7.5. So it's going to have to retrace a decent amount here into about that 720, 715-ish area for us to get long. So we'll continue to watch that. I'll put an alert for this one to activate if it comes near VWAP there. But you'll have to move up the alerts too, guys, if you use this platform, because they don't move up with the indicators. They're price action alerts. So keeping an eye on that as well. I was looking for some interesting retracements, if anything's going to come into either the 10 or the 20 on these Mag 7 names. We're getting right now Meta trying to hold above 430. Tesla had a good retracement into that 20 period. It tanked off that and then came right back up. So I feel like there's something afoot here with Tesla. Like I was watching this candle, it moved into 184 and 2/3 and then dipped and broke 184. And now we're right back at 184 and a half. So this candle, I mean, if you were to watch the 1 minute on Tesla, you'd see what I'm talking about here. Let's see. Yeah, you move up right down to it, and then you just move right back down. So right back up we go here on TSLA. Let's see if we can take the 20. I'm not going to jump into this, but there is resistance at 185.50 owing to that last little pop there on Tesla. So keep an eye on that. What else? What else? Yeah, we're not doing much. We're below 17.7 on the future. What are you guys looking at? Benson says, any tips for getting back into trading after vacay? I'm having a tough time getting back into it mentally. Maybe go in the sim for a little bit, get some levels, you know, just chart, put in your levels, see what triggers, kind of so you can get the motion of things again, do some charting. I guess when I come back from vacay, I'm always in the sim for like the first few days, if not a week, just so you can get, you know, your feet wet and get ready again. That could be an interesting approach for you there. Chris says Mara tanking down 10%. Wow, Mara is at 16 1/3 as Bitcoin barely holding on to 60,000 right now at 60,322. And that's caused a huge move down. I wouldn't be really pointing out Mara. How about micro strategies, guys? We were talking about this on the morning show there. Ram micro strategies is down 17%. You have Ethereum. I know Adara was reporting on that at the big desk, 6 2/3. Sorry, and 1/3 on Ethereum. You have Coinbase, 5 2/3. Mara's down 9 1/4. Riot, 7 1/5. CleanSpark, that's why you saw Adara, and that she's still holding that right now. That's down almost 9%. HUD 8, not much better, 5% there. So yeah, and the ETFs as well, taking it on the chin. Bit of a tougher look today for crypto, as well as some of these Chinese ADRs. If you haven't looked at that, everything in Chinese ADR world, except for XPEV and NEO, are red on the day. And XPEV we saw, I think it was someone telling me earlier there about their self-driving. I think it's getting some sympathy moves with Tesla for the full self-drive, so we'll have to see how that goes. All right, while we were yapping, some stuff happened here on these here markets. Tesla breaking into that 185 yet again. So good luck for here for the Cybertruck as it wants to take that 185.50. If it takes that level, be wary of that 186.50 where VWAP is hanging out. Also, Apple popped above yesterday's closing print yet again. I tried to take this initially, and then I ended up going red on Apple, trying to fight this 173.50, yesterday's closing print. Apple right back up into 173 2/3, looking to come into that 50 period at around 173.90. There is a bottom end consolidation here from the afternoon at around 173.90, 173.80, so possible rejection here off the 20 period maybe for Apple. On the 5 minute, 173.75 is where the 20 period is on Apple. So Apple getting a pump up here. Same thing with Softy, bouncing up into 395. Even Goggles getting a nice move here as the Fuge is dancing with 17.7 again, I guess causing some of these Mag 7 names to bump up again, Adair.
Yeah, I think if the Fuge wants to continue that tango to the downside, I'd be pleased as punch. My CleanSpark short is just kind of doing, I guess, its own wick shimmy dance just below my point of entry there around that 1650s area. I don't have a reason to leave yet, but I would love to see it make a lower low. I pulled up Tesla as well, but let's actually look at Tesla because Tesla is kind of getting interesting here. I want to see if we break above that 185.50. If we do, then that's going to be decisive continuation of this pseudo uptrend we're seeing starting in at 1150, trying to curl up here. If we break above, that would, I think, be a nice continuation of that curl. So TSLA and its little sister Tesla are certainly on my mind here. CleanSpark doing a whole lot of nothing, but I'm still involved for now. Snapchat, though, someone was saying snap puts, question mark. I have been trying to short Snapchat. all day. I had an ill-fated long. I say ill-fated. I planned. It went according to plan. I can't be too upset about it, but all good now. This snap, though, this snap short, I keep watching what we do at this area around this 1496. We keep failing 15. I like this 1496. Finally, now I have the ready. I'm involved. So to answer your snap puts question, again, not advice, just my take on the chart. But I think that break of 15 was pretty significant there. It was pretty swift breakdown, right? So I think with that in mind, 15 is kind of showing as a resistance level. We haven't been able to break back above 15 since that break below on anything beyond a wick basis. And even here, that was kind of a flimsy wick into 15, and then Snapchat like, I'm going to go back to the downside now, right? So I think Snapchat continuing below that 9 EMA, continuing below 15. If it breaks above 15, and that's saying if I get involved in this trade, if it breaks above 15, I'll be getting out. I'm interested in adding at 1497, but right now my first level, just based on what I've noticed Snapchat doing on the chart in the book, is going to be 1496. Some people were wondering about SMCI heading into earnings, and I'm sure whatever this stock does will in fact be super and will not be micro, because we know SMCI likes to react strongly to just about everything, including earnings. Right now, this has been a pretty nice move to the downside. Did pause a little bit, though, I have to say, to chop and churn just a skosh at that previous support area at 876 from the pre. Chop and churn around 876 up into 884 for a bit before continuing its move to the downside. So SMCI right now saying SMC bye-bye to the longs, continuing to reject below that 9 EMA. Also, I am involved in Snapchat, was able to snap up some shares there, so I am pleased as punch there. Let's see how that goes. SMCI, let's go to the daily and see what we're SMCIing on this. This is interesting. So this is, to me, a little bit of a support area, and I almost want to say a flat bottom break on the daily. So we had this, what is this, 1185 high, lower high, and then continued flat bottom around that 880 area. We broke below. We're trying to come back to that in the daily. If we reject that resistance on the daily, depending on what SMCI gives us with earnings, it's going to get really interesting on SMCI on the chart. What's also interesting is Clean Spark deciding to spark towards that 1660s. If we break above 1662, which is going to be a break above that previous low, I will have to go. And I will be getting out of Clean Spark. How are you doing?
Great. Shorted Apple at the top there at 173, mid-90s, and then we got that nice little flush down covered in the 70s. So nice little scalp there. Tried the futures long as we were breaking through 17.7, but I just didn't like the look of it, so I got out break even on this quick futures trade. But nice little scalp on Apple. I think I'm liking the same level that Adara just said on TSLA. That 185.50 I'll have on my lookout as well. I'm also looking to short the soft one at the, what's it called? The 10-period moving average on the 5. Where is my softy? There it is. So I'm looking possibly here to get short on a retracement on Microsoft into that $0.75. We'll see. I think I like the better level, to be honest with you, is at 396.40-ish, 396.50-ish. But I don't. We may make it up there. That is a 20-period retracement. So I think I'm gonna actually take off this 10-period retracement for Softy. I want to see what it does at that level. If it ends up rejecting it, sure, I'll take it right back down for maybe another low day touch. Otherwise, I'm looking for 396.50 or thereabouts. It's where the 20-period is, but it is also the price action low around these levels. So we'll keep an eye on that. Dan Emmons. This was a good spot time for shorts to cover. Interesting. Okay, so we broke down below 17.7, but now we're right above it. So your point is well taken, Dan, in that we are now above 17.7 and curling up aggressively here on some of these names. But I'm not inclined to think that this is going to be an uptrend from here on in right now on the future. So I'm going to pack my patience, and I want to see what the future does, especially at 17.7 1/3, 17.7 1/4, because that is a price action low right there. This is the area I'm talking about. So if we come back into that area, or especially the 20 period, which is at 1/3 as well, and reject. Last time we did reject off the 20 period, so I want to see exactly what we do again this time. I'm watching Softy. I know Softy's at the 10 period right now. If it continues up into the 20 period, I'll definitely take that trade. Otherwise, I'll look for either to reject the 10 period and then get it back down on the back end, as my friend Neil likes to say. Otherwise, I'm going to pack my patience with this one. I didn't want to jump into it too quick willy-nilly, especially with the future popping back up at there. So I'm looking short Softy, but I'm gonna wait a little bit.
I love that you said willy-nilly. I love that you said willy-nilly, so shout out to that. We don't want to do anything willy-nilly,
No.
which is why I got out of that clean spark. We did have a clean spark above that level I was mentioning, that 1662s. Please just punch with this trade. It was a losing trade, but I executed it appropriately, so all smiles on this side of the desk. Snap short, continuing to snap a little bit to the downside. We did come back up near my point of entry. Like I said, I was willing to add at 14.98, so I do have a dip, or I guess a rip short instead of a dip buy, a rip sell, sitting there at 14.96 or 14.98. Sorry, the plan for Snapchat, if I may quickly. Although I see someone pumping his fist, so we're going to talk about that in a minute. But I did get involved initially 14.96, taking out some of this at 14.90. So near the base of that support area, I want some profit. But I also want to have a piece for the dream in case I want to snap up some more profits later. And yes, I have definitely overused the word snap in the last 30 seconds, and I can stand by that. SOXL, though, still looking super interesting to me. I've been talking about SOXL all day. I had a couple trades I liked on this, and like I said with SOXL, the only way I can take this, and generally the only way I take most things, is if we have rejections off of previous levels. So look at how every time we try to come back into that 39.40 support, it's a short. If we fail the 39.40 support, SOXL becomes a short. I'm becoming Dr. Seuss here, but if I see this pattern continuing, it's something I want to watch, right? So SOXL, back on the side chart, back on my mind, my eyes are on it. If we continue to kind of fail below this area, I'll take a short. But honestly, even if we get to like 39.30s and we fail, because that's what I was noticing earlier, there could be a short. I think there's some play still in SOXL as we continue below that 90 MA and we continue this pattern of failing previous support areas. Eclectic Passion saying, snap out of it, girl. I'm glad to see hopefully Snap snaps into gear, and then I'll be able to snap out of the trade and stop making snap puns. Shout out to you, Eclectic Passions. Love the name. Easy Trader asking for weed news. I know we had some weed moves.
Holy cow, everything in marijuana world just pumped. Everything, Adara.
Oh, just MSOS halted on the circuit breaker to the upside, but I'm still not seeing any news. Although the fact that it's up 4.21% feels like fate. Yeah. 4.21%.
Sorry, I was too busy just looking at all these green. Okay, maybe I can't even talk. Show the screen. It's okay. That's fine. This is what we have in Weed World here. Tilray up 8.5. Cron up 5.5, Evergen up 6, MSOS up 4, MSOX, the triple levered, up 20, Cureleaf up 8, CGC up 11, Aurora Cannabis up 6. Everything is flying here in Weed World. What is the reason here? What's going on?
Associated Press saying that the DEA is moving to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug. So we know we talked about reclassification news for a while. There's not a lot of details on that, but Associated Press reporting that DEA is moving to reclassify marijuana as a less dangerous drug.
I like it. We knew that the Department of Health and Human Services had been putting pressure on the DEA. I think we got that news catalyst like months and months ago. Finally, it looks like it is materializing, but keep your eye out on weed this year. It is an election year, and last time we had an election year, well, you saw what happened with the marijuana stocks. Not saying that everything is gonna happen the exact same way, but we need to be alert, for the fact that we can come in and we can hear that it could be on the table there on the floor of Congress. Who knows? Who knows? It's not really one that I've heard talked about a lot. It seems to be right now a lot of focus on China with respect to the focus there in the government. So we'll see what we got. All right, I'm looking at Softy again. I want to take this short if the future continues to dance a little bit above, a little bit below 17.7. So it's tried to make a 17.7 reclaim. What I'll be looking for is a move into 396 and a third, 396 and a half. That's where the 20 period is on the soft one. Last time around, when we moved into the 20 period, we did reject a couple of times today on Softy. So it's been down and to the right. Now it's just where do we get in? I took a quick short on it. I'll take a quick short on it again. Okay, ELYM, I'm getting a notification in my ear that it is coming into the VWAP. So ELYM just absolutely tanked off that level. So happy we put the alert, not the dip trade on ELYM. Bless you, Neil. As this one, there you go. These ones are around for a good time. They're not around for a long time. So this one blew through that level. It didn't even hold up. Let's look at the 1 minute. Did you even get a quick support level? No, you didn't. You got that big boy Huadunk and that one candle. Someone unloaded about 100,000 shares, and that blew all the levels from 7.25 down into 6, almost 6.5, 6.55. Alas, we are getting a bit of a bounce back up now into 6.75, but definitely a level break here, and I won't be trading this to the long side. That is until I should say, it reclaims the volume weighted average price. So we shall keep an eye on these small cap gappers, but I feel like it's going to be MSOX here, Adara, that we're going to have up on the chart because it's doing things.
Yeah.
So we're going to keep an eye on weed here the rest of the afternoon.
Yeah, those weed traders want all the smoke. That is for sure.
This is a perfect time to say that.
Right?
Like, I mean, like, it's just like.
And it's a dope move up in weed. Why not? You know what I mean?
Hold on. Say that one again.
It's a dope move up in weed.
Sorry, Neil.
I like also the Neil and Sean smoking weed are great with little animations there. But yeah, lots of weed names in the green right now. That one was in the chat as well. So shout out to everybody in the chat with these fire puns. But for now, we're going to move on to our fire lesson. If you're having fun in this community, I'm so happy to be here and a part of this. Definitely like and subscribe so you can join us every day when the markets are open. You can also just join Sean and I with these after hours earnings. We've got a doozy for you tonight. Starbucks. If you want a little bit of caffeine, a little bit of excitement in your market, let's look at the Starbucks earnings tonight after close. SMCI after close tonight. AMD, Amazon going to Express Deliver some interesting trade opportunities, I am sure. So definitely visit us every day and also check out the market recap if you want to see those earnings. We're going to let Snap kind of have the snap to the downside. I do have beak wetters ready. I actually have enough for 4 beak wetters here, but I've already set 2. Trying to get out some of this at that 1493 base earlier, then another portion are out around 1490s. For now, though, I'm going to keep an eye on that in case we break into 15. But if we don't, we're going to continue no turbulence on this lesson of the day, which is going to be about fading the open, understanding the gap and go strategy, which, as Sharif was saying, and also shout out to AV in the chat for reiterating this is a bit more of a complex strategy. It can work really well, but make sure you understand and you have all your ducks in a row before getting involved in the gap and fade strategy. It's a popular intraday trading tactic. But what if the initial surge seems a little bit too enthusiastic? You don't want to go chasing waterfalls. You want to make sure you're buying into something that you're comfortable with or shorting into something you're comfortable with, right? How do you get a level you like while still attempting to play the gap and go? Well, let's talk about fading the open, because this is going to be a bit more of a counterintuitive approach that aims to capitalize on short-term pullbacks within a trending stock. So this is going to be a quick lesson talking about some of the key considerations and how you might want to execute. So a fade is when you've got a stock gapping up significantly or gapping down significantly at the open. The classic gap and go strategy would have you buying in anticipation of the trend continuing, getting right involved, gapping and going. But what if you don't want to do that? This fading the open is going to take a bit of a different approach, because you're going to wait for the pullback, so a small dip in the price or a small rip in the price if you're talking shorts, after the initial jump, and then enter the trade, assuming that the trend will still hold, but now having a bit of a level to get involved in as well. So here is one example here. You did have this close, and I apologize, it's kind of a blurry chart here. I was not able to make this any clearer. But we have a nice little gap up. Then we gap up around 410.20. Then we come to rest at this 408 before continuing to move to the upside, right? So this is one example of a gap that gives you a little bit of a fade and an opportunity to get involved. Also, we have 2 over 4 beak wetters out of Snapchat, so please just punch there. But why do we want to fade? Well, there's 2 main reasons. One of them is going to be profit taking. The initial surge in this market to the upside or downside of your gap up or down can attract short-term traders looking for a quick profit, and their selling can cause a pullback, which can create an entry point for you. But what about false breakouts as well? Not all gaps are going to represent true trends. Some of them can be fake gaps. And sometimes they're just overreaction. So if you're waiting for the fade, it allows you to potentially avoid buying into a stock that might quickly reverse course and send you spinning. So how do you put this into practice? First, you want to identify a gapping stock. Look for a gap scanner. We talk about TradingView, Benzinga, all these I use. Trade Ideas and Benzinga. I use both of those in the morning when cultivating the watch list to see what is gapping, what has the potential to get going, and what can we kind of look at in the morning, right? So that definitely lots of scanners you can use for that. But also, once you have identified your scanner with volume, you want to wait for the pullback. You have your open, we gap, but then you don't want to jump in right away. You want to let the price action develop and look for a pullback towards the gap or a key support level, which we're going to show you an example of in the next slide here. Then, last thing you want to keep in mind is your entry and stop loss. Once you see a pullback, consider placing a limit order slightly above the pullback low for a bullish gap to ensure that you get your desired entry price. And you want to set a stop loss order below the pullback low or above the pullback high if you're playing a gap down to limit your potential losses. And here's one example of a gap fade using support and resistance. So you have your resistance level here. That was the previous close. Then we gap down to this 425 level, but we come back up and we fail the resistance. And that's how, if you are a gap trader, you're going to know this is where I get in. This is where I get in. You might want to set your stop loss along that resistance and you get involved in that short. So that's one example of a gap to the downside where you could play that strategy. And that's why I wanted to find an example of a gap to the downside, because you can play this on gaps up or gaps down. Just have to, of course, make sure you're adjusting accordingly. So what are some other considerations here? These are not going to be for every gap. Fading is not suitable for all gaps, and strong trends might not offer significant pullbacks. Risk management is also worth noting too, right? You always want to prioritize risk management. Where is my entry? How am I planning the trade? Do I have a way to get out unscathed? Do I have a way to Jason Bourne style hop out of this trade if things are going awry? Can I fast and furious jump out of this moving vehicle if it's working against me, right? So make sure you have a plan, use proper stop loss orders and position sizing. And last but not least, confirmation. Consider using technical indicators like RSI or moving averages to confirm the overall trend before fading. And remember, fading in the open is an advanced strategy, so you might want to practice on a paper trading account before risking real capital. Also, one thing too I want to touch on, I know Neil was mentioning this earlier, I think right before we went to how to trade, saying that you have to have all of your plans set up or you don't really have a full plan, right? So if you don't have where you want to get involved, where you want to have your profit takers, you have to make sure you have all of that planned, especially if it's a strategy that depends a lot on what we do at the open, like a gap and fade. So I wanted to shout that out. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to Snapchat. I was in this, doing the lesson of the day, keeping an eye on it, and Snapchat kept dropping. So please just punch for Snapchat. We're going to take out, I think, the rest of this position here. I was going to save another third, but I'm happy with this. Please just punch. With how this trade went, because I always get a little bit nervous taking breakdowns, but I was happy I was able to avenge Snapchat after not being able to get in a little bit earlier. How are you doing?
I love it.
Thank you so much.
Doing really well here on the soft one, letting it go right back down. Yet another 10-period rejection on the 5 for the soft one. It's been awfully weak. I mean, ever since earnings, Adara astutely pointed out that their guide was a little poop. And, you know, so things went awry. Took some profits out there on the dip into the 30s, so we'll see whether we can get that continued move. But we had these topping tail candles here come in at the 10. So, you know, I really felt like I wanted to wait for the 20 to come in, but the price action told me the 10 was going to be where they held up. So I went short again on this one. So we'll see if we can get a continued move back, maybe down into the whole dollar, 3.95. Already wet my beak on some profits. A nice 25 penny winner on the soft one at the moment. Keeping an eye on that now. Let me show you this now. Look at Tesla rejecting off the 50 period. So the wicks into that astutely again. Shout out to Adara, man. That 185.50 level that Adara pointed out, featuring yet again. And look at that, rejecting 75 pennies off that level is TSLA. 185.50 was the level she was talking about. And down we go into 184.75. So good look there. Down go softy, baby. So nice 30 penny winner here, looking for somewhere near that, you know, that whole dollar level. But as I wait for the as I wait for my level to come in on softy, I want to tell you guys that we're really, really close to 450,000 subs. And if you guys know anything about YouTube, you guys know how important subs are to us. So please like, please subscribe, and if you can, share. If there's anybody who would get value out of this channel, please send it to them. Let them know that we're doing this every day, 8:30 to 4:30. You guys go to 4:30?
We do go to 4:30, sometimes a little bit later.
And even a little bit later. Every single day we're doing this, and we're not going to stop. We're only going to improve. You have no idea what's being built back there. So, I mean, things are on the up and up here. We'd really love for you guys to be part of this community. And from now, I'm going to sit here silently until we get about 450,000. So.
I love like the eyes, like just like the I'm waiting. There we go, Sharif. Oh, he's not joking.
No, I'm not. I'm kidding.
You're just such a good actor.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
So like and subscribe, guys, because whatever we can do to grow the community, we really want to do on our end, and we'd love for you guys to assist us as well. Thank you so much for your continued support. We love every one of you guys, except the people that troll us in the chat. That's fine. We don't really like you guys. No, we like you guys too.
I like the trolling. I love, honestly.
Nah, come on, I have to throw some shade a little bit there.
You gotta throw a little bit of shade. I think that's part of the
Fine.
signature Sharif shade, right? Just a little bit. Shade Reef, but no, I'm joking. I will say too, I love interacting with this chat. I've always said that, so we're always happy to have you guys here. Thank you so much for being part of this community, and thank you, Snapchat. Yes, I'm thanking a stock. And honestly, you know, if we keep failing this 1490, I might get back in, but right now, just please just punch with how this went. Nice. I said I kept waiting. I was saying this back to AV, I think, in the chat around this 506 level, 1506 level, sorry. I wanted to get short. Wasn't able to get short, didn't want to chase it, so I waited, kept it on my side chart to see if things got interesting. Then this failure of the 15 area, that's where things got interesting for me. I said if we break above 15, I'm going to get out. As we were starting to break above 15, we kind of had to move above in the futures. I was getting a little bit nervous Nelly, anxious Adara, scared Susan, what have you. But I was like, you know what, Adara, scared trader is a deficient trader, as Sean says. You like the setup. You haven't broken above 15. Just chill. So I got involved here. Initially tried to get involved 1496, planned add here at 1498. Then I started getting ready to leave the position as the lesson began. I just had it on my side chart to make sure things were going according to plan. So yeah, really happy with the Snapchat trade. This is one example of sometimes having, as Neil was saying in his lesson of the day, when you have levels in mind, try to execute those to the best of your ability. I am paraphrasing. Always make sure you check out those lessons because Neil tells it like it is. He is the real deal. But happy with that snap. And also, Kyle Burdett, $5 super chat. Big Kyle special guest for the 500,000 subscriber podcast.
Jeez.
I mean, that'd be a big, nice surprise there. Shout out to you, Kyle Burdett, and thank you for that super chat.
Of course. I have to echo that sentiment as well. Shout out to big Kyle Burdett, always doing the best there in the chat, obviously, with the futures levels and always super chatting as well. Shout out to Big Kyle. Hell of a guide, too. I already shouted him out with respect to his profession. Artisan, iron artisan extraordinaire. All right, so let's have a look at some levels here. I'm still in the soft one at the moment, short at these levels, but it is finding a bit of a footing here. So the aggression with which Softy was selling off, I feel has cooled off a little bit. Look, it's still a downtrend. There's no doubt about that. But I was looking for that 395 retracement. It doesn't look like it's going to come in as quickly as I would like. So I'm going to keep my eye on this. If it makes a new 5-minute candle to make a new high, which would take us above that 61 print, I'll get out. I'll flatten out here, and it looks like we are close into that area. So I'm going to pack my patience with some of these trades, but it feels like most of them are still shorts off key levels of areas or key areas of resistance, I should say. I'm talking about, you know, Google coming into the 10 period. I'm talking about Apple coming into the 10 period, and maybe even Meta coming into the 20 period here at 432. So I will end this softy trade here. We'll take about a 10 penny hit on the last little piece, as it does make a new 5-minute candle and make a new high, but it was a quick wick. So we'll see if we could get back into that. I have no issues with that. All right, what else we got? Let's look at the small cap gapper, see if anything happening in that world. So MSOX, we were talking about MSOX. It just printed the high a day about a few minutes ago at 795. It's coming into the 10 period here, which is at 712. The retracements initially into the 10 period all got bought up, but I feel like we're putting in topping tail candles right now. So I'm not inclined to buy this super quick. Kind of hard to figure out where to get in on MSOX. It's up 50%, guys. This thing is moving here. maybe the whole dollar level. Here comes the whole dollar level. Here comes 7. Does 7 get defended? So bouncing off 7 for now, right above the 10 period again. Does it hold though? Or do we get that 6 print? So right now, there it is. And that's why. You need to be wary of these topping tail candles. We break 7 with vigor, come down into that 670, and it looks like we may be headed down. So where do we find a base? If we find a base, 6.25 looks decent to me here. That is the volume weighted average price. That is an interesting area to take a short, or sorry, not a short, a long on MSOX. This is on the AM, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is. Okay. So I shall place an order at 633 because we'll see if it makes its way down there. What's going on here? 633. Hello, computer. It doesn't want me to trade it.
Oh, no.
Interesting. Okay, I wonder why this is blocked. Are you able to trade MSOX?
MSOX?
Yeah, it's not letting me trade it. Well, that might just be it's blocked on my system. I'll ask Neil.
Tell.
Let me see my blotter. No, I'm getting rejected orders. Interesting.
Oh.
That's no good. Why? What does it say? Gateway rejected, order closed. Okay, so I'll have to deal with Brenkos for that. Don't worry about that then.
Yeah, sorry.
That's just my thing there. Probably something to do specific with my account. But anyway, it's coming right back down into that. So keep your eye on 6.5, but I'm looking for that 6 1/3, 6 1/4. That's where VWAP is. If it breaks down into that level, that would be an interesting long for me, but it'll have to prove itself first. And VWAP is a decent area to look for a dip trade. A lot of people looking at VWAP. All right, let's go back into big tech here. What do we got going on? All right, so we're back above 17.7 yet again here on the future. How many times is this going to be here where we kind of bottom out below 17.7 and curl right back up? I'm not taking anything long. I got to tell you the truth. I'm going to be looking to short either Meta or Google at these levels of there.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Meta and the Google, certainly. I'm saying the now. I feel like Obi with the Amazon. But yeah, those are both certainly interesting ones. I want to talk about SOXL because I did just take a SOXL on SOXL, but I'm proud of myself for getting involved in the first place. So I want to talk about it. I liked this short because we did look at this bearishness coming into 39.40. Now, the things working against the short thesis was going to be, of course, that hold of that area just below 39, around 38.95, and these looks to the downside. So I was cognizant of that, but I also said, watched it fail a couple times. I said, Adara, if you like the short, try to take the short. The other thing, too, I was cognizant of was this was a name I did well in earlier, and I didn't want to give up too many profits. But it's also like, Adara, stop trying to trade P&L. If you like the stock, if you like the trade, take the trade. I took the trade. We broke above 39.20 with a viciousness. That was what I was looking for. I got out. Happy with how I executed. But I guess the point I'm trying to make here is sometimes, as long as you have a thesis and a plan, and your plan makes sense, try to take the trade sometimes. That was a huge thing I've learned being here on this desk. So even though we did lose, I'm still up in this name. This is my strongest name, and I'm still up on the day. But either way, regardless of the P&L, I'm still happy I tried. And looks like maybe I might have set my stop a little bit too early because SOXL's like, oh, you're like left the short already and now I'm deciding to go to the downside. Like, okay, Adara, I guess you should have kept the socks on because like I think I'm going to leave without you.
I don't think I'd ever want to speak to SOXL ever if it talked like that.
Well, I guess I made it a bit of a valley girl.
You make it sound so bad. It's like
yeah, she's a little bit of a valley girl. I mean, well, you know, she's got a lot on her plate, Sharif.
You know what valley girl is, eh?
Well,
that's like an 80s term.
Well, like the vocal, I know like how they talk, right? The whole vocal fry thing, but yeah. But I think too with SOXL, you know, she's got a lot on her plate, Sharif. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's you know, I think she understands. I just think if a stock were to be a Valley Girl or an ETF, SOXL has all the semiconductors to keep an eye on. It's a lot to ask.
It's a lot.
You know, I think she's allowed to be a little bit saucy. And you know, you gave me 2 great short SOXL, so third time wasn't a charm. I'll keep an eye if we actually end up bouncing at that previous level. How are you doing over
I'm trying
here?
to short the soft one again because we're coming into some levels here at the 20 period. I may not overstay my welcome a little bit in this name. The future's getting a nice pump up, man, through 17.7, so that's a little concerning here for the future, especially for some of these longs. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. We'll see exactly what we get. I shorted again because we did make our way back into the 10 period. I'm also interested in some other names. Meta rejecting the 20 period quite nicely there as it comes right back down. So we'll put our beak water there. possibly for the soft one as it makes its way down. This is the 20-period rejection on Meta that I want to point out. So we're talking about the deeper retracements going into the 20, the more shallow holding up at the 10, and there you go. You got an almost exact touch at the 20, 432.29. It's trading at 47. So, you know, for a several $100 name, that's a pretty good level to come into. So decent look there. Back to the soft one as it dances below the $0.50. Again, I'm talking about Microsoft. Short at the $0.50, looking for a move back down, maybe to the whole dollar here. I mean, they keep putting in topping tail candles into the 50 period. So to me, it seems like a short, right? I mean, it's not manifesting, but to me, the price action is screaming short here. So I'm going to stay short on this name. One thing we definitely didn't look at today was NVIDIA, right? I mean, I didn't look at it. I know the Big Kahuna did. He was all over that this morning. But there you go. NVIDIA has been a sell all day. It has been incrementally lower lows, lower highs. It's been one hell of a downward channel. That is if you're able to handle its volatility and able to handle some of the price action that may go against you. But a downward channel for sure on NVDA on the day, and it looks like it may be headed right back down now into that 865. It's trying to defend 865 at the moment. We'll see if it makes its way down. All right, we profited nicely yet again on the soft one as it comes right back down into my beak wetter, but I'm definitely looking for around the top here on Softy. And I'm sorry for these wicks. They're distorting the price chart. I realize that. I see you guys. But this is what it looks like on the 5-minute here. It looks like we're popping into the 10, rejecting off the 10, putting these topping tail candles through the 10, which is, to me, looking like a hell of a short because it's a rounded top. It's doing the wick shimmy into a key area of resistance. So I'm trying not to get strong-armed out of this trade and to try to take it down for a 50-penny winner into 395 to at least test the low of day. The low of day did take us into 395, technically 394.80. So we'll see exactly what we get on Microsoft right now. But the descent on Microsoft is slowing down a little bit here concerning me.
Hopefully that descent picks up and gets a little bit less soft there, that move to the downside.
I like it.
But yeah, right now I am in, well, I'm not in anything. I'm trying to get involved in this NVDL short. I think I'm going to get involved. And when I say I just don't think it'll get filled, I also don't like this pop back up here, so we're going to cancel this order. This stock sell is getting really bamboozling. We're just fighting at a level, and I don't have enough of, honestly, for me, it's not even like I'm scared to enter the trade. I just don't have enough of a thesis. Do you know what I mean? And I want to be clear, and I've said this before, that's one of the biggest things I learned. I think when I first heard a scared trader is a deficient trader, I took that to mean get involved in any trade you like, that's not what it means. It means if you really like something and you have levels you like, get involved. I initially did on the stock sell short, even though it didn't work out. Now, I think we could actually be bouncing off that previous rejection area of 39.10, but I still don't have enough emphasis for me to get involved personally. Do you know what I mean? So if we see this bounce again, if we see that continued move, that's when I'll get involved in that stock sell 39.10. But I just want to clarify, for me, that be a scared trader is a deficient trader doesn't mean rush in. And I say that because I did once rush into a trade I really should not have, with that being my thesis. So just make sure you have your plans always. Fortune favors the bold and trading favors the bold and prepared. So you want to have that nice little combination. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, Kyle Burdett was pointing out this continued move down on the SPY. We should call him Spyle Burdett because he's killing those SPY trades. But yeah, the SPY, nice look on the 5-minute here. We could not, it's just a continued story of not being able to make a new high. We had that 509.40. We tried to make it again, 509.20, waked up into 509.40, reject. Get back involved here at this 507. Try to break up, wick into 507, reject. It's this continued pattern we're seeing on the SPY. So thank you for pointing that out. Havana Woody making this point as well. Get involved, but don't fall in love, or you could get burned. Yeah, with that in mind, this stock sell is still looking, I want to see one more kind of test and fail of that 39.10. That's going to be my impetus. I do have it on my side chart and on my mind, but not in my heart, because you don't want to fall in love and get your heart broken in the trade. So still short Apple, says Sean. So shout out there. Oh, could I guess the level? I'll guess the level. Oh, it's on the sticky note. So, oh, okay. I guess it. Okay, well that means it's an earlier level then. Okay, I'm gonna say 174.75. 174.92. With 17 pennies off, 174.92. That's like high, basically high of day. Shout out to Sean there, taking a bite out of the apple. Tim cooking 5 fills up there. So yeah, nice look there for Sean, getting it cooking with Apple as that one burns to a crisp to the downside. I think I want my socks out long now.
Go to
How are you
the
doing?
Katina man. Yeah, there he is. There it is, baby. A bad word. Yeah, I did it for you there, Katia, man. All good. All right, done with the softy short. Now focusing on goggles. I'm talking about Google. We're looking to short the 10-period EMA retracement, but I watch one eye on Google, the other on the future, because we're at 17.7 right now. A little bit above, a little bit below. Undecided is the market at 17.7. So I don't know if the short is going to continue to aggressively print to the downside. We're already 8 pennies out of the money on this Google short here as the market does move up yet again above 17.7. But if history's been any guide, and by history I mean today, well, it's been a little bit above 17.7 and a little bit below 17.7. So we'll have to wait for the trend to change here for me to weasel my way out of the short. I still like the short, to be honest with you. I like the fact that we are at the 10 period and not really blowing through it. So I'm going to stay true here to this trade, see if we can move a little bit down in goggles. So we'll see. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. Apple is not at low of day, but it's awfully close. I mean, it's at local lows. So I know we haven't covered Apple in quite a little bit, but that downward channel has been beautiful. The deeper retracement seemed to have gone into the 50 rather than the 20. All the superficial retracements, though, if you're looking for that quick pop and short, have been off the 10. You can see that it ended up finding a bit of a deeper retracement resistance level at that 173.90, 173.90-ish area. That took it right in to the 50 period. So we'll continue to watch that as the market continues to move sideways at 17.7, not resolving one way or another. So I'm going to continue to pack my patience with this Google short. I should tell you guys, though, that weed got a catalyst midday. And as a result of that, everything in marijuana world has gapped up. Well, at least it was when we were looking at it. Yes, and it still is. Everything's moving up, baby. You got CGC now up 25%. Aurora Cannabis, baby, up 17%. And Tilray, a cool 26% with Grow Generations, definitely up there with a 17% pop. So if you're looking for something to the north side or to get high on, you knew I was going to come with that. Marijuana names look awfully good right now, Adair.
Yeah, Bonkzilla is saying, I'm all about being higher for longer, and I hope that is a pun. Either way, you know, I think it's certainly apt going into Papa Powell, who we know, you know, that might be coming out of their mouth higher for longer. So I just wanted to put that out there. Shout out to you, Bonkzilla. I think tomorrow is going to be really interesting to see what Jerome Powell has to say. Last time he talked, it was with Tiff Macklem of the Bank of Canada. That was about 2 weeks ago today, I want to say.
Yeah, it feels
and there were some, you know, talking about top 10 favorite Canadian comedians. There was Tiff flashing a $10 Canadian bill, even though the talk was in the U.S., which means that's right, he brought a $10 Canadian bill for show and tell. So it was a really interesting talk. But really the main market stuff we got from that was just, again, Jerome Powell continuing to reiterate we need to see some positive inflation data. I think tomorrow will also be interesting with regards to the GDP that we got last week, which was lower. That was not higher for longer. That was 1.6% versus 2.5% expected. So to take a little bit of a break from these markets and talk quickly about something that might move the markets, FOMC tomorrow will certainly be interesting. Me too, says live trader for Trader TV, also about higher for longer. So shout out to Fabian and Ramin, always killing it, doing the most back there. So shout out to them. Sox L trying to break above this 39.20. Please, this punch, I got back involved. As long as we stay above the 90 EMA, I'm staying in this trade. If we break below and I see a decisive break below that 39.10, this is going to be a really tight stop. I'm watching this like a hawk. Then I'll be getting out. If not, I'll be staying in. Let's take a look at our old pal PayPal, because I haven't looked at this one for a while. This was a day one earnings play, and I wanted to talk about this for people because there were some levels I liked, and I know this is one I assume people will be having their eye on as that day one earnings play. I see one bull marching there through the market. PayPal, though, my chart's not working for this for some reason. We did break above 68. Like I said, though, I want to see what we do at 68.50 and then 69.50. What else is happening? Boeing. Boeing. Let's see if Boeing's going. How are we doing with Boeing? Boeing, this is an interesting one. They did have that chop and churn there, a little bit of turbulence heading into 171, some wicks above into 171.20, being rejected by the 9 EMA. And unfortunately, like a lot of the 737s, Boeing headed to the downside. Below the 9 EMA, I don't say that with any glee, Boeing, please get going back again in the right direction. We want people on planes, and we want to make sure people are safe. Shout out to you, Boeing. That stock, though, beautiful short off that break below that 70-80 support area. Stocks, for a second, I forgot that I was in a stock sell long because I keep being in stock sell shorts today. And I was like, oh, no, it's going up. But, yes, it's going up. Happy with stock sell. How are you doing?
Not bad. Out of the money right now on goggles, about 10 penny. Seeing what it does at the 20 period. The 20 period's at 164 mid-50s. So it's printing 44s right now. I'm also ready to short Tesla at the 50 period. I like that level again that you earmarked earlier, that 185.50, 185.60. I already have my dip trade, or like not dip trade, a pop trade, I guess, into that level for a possible rejection. But I'm worried about getting stopped out on Google. We'll see if it makes its way into the 20 period. Again, that is 154 mid-50s. We'll see if we make up our way there. The deeper, again, the retracements for Google have been into the 20, the more shallow on the 10. So right now, it's finding its footing, and so is the future. Okay, so the future now getting a nice little pump up there, 17.7 and a fifth. It's at resistance, or sorry, support level 2. It did reject off there last time. So we'll see what we get right now. And now, oops, I have to, where's my Google? There it is. All right, let's see what we do now at the 20 period here on Google. Oops, there we go. So now I'm looking for rejection of the 20 period. If the 20 period breaks, I'm out of this trade. And now we are at the mid-50s. So it does look like Google is retracing here. So is Softy. They're both retracing into the mid-50s. That is spells trouble for me if it continues to the north side. So I'm going to continue to watch that, looking for rejection off the 20 period on Google. The Katina man is short AMD and Tesla right now on both. What? Right at these prices. Like he just took the short right now. So if you're following the Katina man's trade, short AMD, Tesla at these prices, the Katina man jumping into that Cybertruck a little quicker than me and getting a better price because I'm sitting waiting at 185.60. Alas, it has not come up there yet, Adair.
Yeah, I think I'm going to get out of this SOX L. We're really struggling here, decisively breaking above that 39.20. Plus, Sean saying he's short AMD. I trust that more than I trust this move here. I want to see what we did at 30s. We can't get to 30s. We wicked into 25s, and just like that, I feel like we're heading back to the downside here. So I really don't like this. I'm not gonna get it right this second, but this wick is pretty bearish. We'll try to take a couple pennies on this. Well, there we go. We'll try to go to 15s. I'm pleased as punch. I should have been scalping out a little bit earlier, but we took some profit. We had to risk out.
AMD?
And pardon?
The Katina man is 20 pennies in the money on AMD.
20 pennies in the money on AMD. I could tell too, because as he's like, oh, I'm short AMD, and then stock sell falls to the downside. These chips listen. These chips listen to the big kahuna there. So, no, all jokes aside, happy with the stock sell trade. Took a couple pennies there. Could have been a bit scalpy or closer to the top, and it looks like it's still moving. Fail button for that. Oh, that's why I was gonna. Sean says he wishes. He says the stocks are worse than his kids. No. He wishes they would listen to him. So, yeah, shout out to those trades. Happy with the stock sell. Took a couple pennies. Mostly, though, with this, I'm really happy I decided to take the impetus to get involved when I like the setup. Can we get a money? Because CYCC printed, says Pop Short with a $2 super chat. Sorry for yelling there at printed, but I was very happy
I think
for
you're happy
Pop
for them.
Short.
There you go.
There we go. Let's CYCC. I think someone earlier was saying CYCC had a range, and my little ears perked up, and I forgot to look at it. So let's look at CYCC and the place to be and see how we're doing on this one. Okay, I think that range might have been like a little bit while earlier. Shout out to you, Pop and Short. Pop and long today, I guess, right now. up over 29%. This thing's smoking to the upside.
Woo.
All green. 420 what? Well, this one's having a nice look. How are you doing?
Good. We're like 5 pennies out of the money on this Google trade. Google did reject off the 20 period, but it's not tanking in the same way that the softy tanked. Comes up into 396, and look at that nice move down, about 60 penny or 70 pennies, right back down into 395 and a third. I'm waiting for a new candle to make a 5-minute low there, a new low on the 5-minute chart, because we are getting a rejection off the 20 period, but I'm still 3 pennies out of the money on Google. So, you know, looking for that move down and possible whole dollar touch here. We're right back into 17,705. So we are putting a bit of a rounded bottom, though, on the fuge. Go for it. What do I got here? What am I looking at? Aurora Cannabis.
No, I want you to look at this number. How much down percentage?
99.16. Sean, what is this? Is that from like a few years ago? I'm assuming TFSA. Sean. Well, at least you're humorous about it, which I like. You've got good spirits about it. Shout out to Sean. Eh? It's up 20% today, says Neil, and he's not wrong. I don't even know what to say to that. You guys are funny. All right, so I'm in Google short. That's what I'm focusing on. I'm looking for a 20-period rejection. Sadly, I should have been in the softy as it rejects the 20-period a bit better, down now below the 10-period go softy. You also had a move up into the 50-period here, as well as yesterday's closing print on Meta. You come into that 432.5. That's where we closed out yesterday on Meta. And, well, we're right back there right now. So if we're going to go green on Meta, it's going to come soon, or we'll reject off these levels yet again. It has been a short kind of the day on all these Mag 7 names, but the future is trying to break above now. We'll see what we get here, Adara.
Yeah, I mean, we will see what we shall see, as we always do in these markets.
A meaningless tautology. I love those.
I know.
Those are the best.
It is, yeah. It's all we do is tout the tautology, because it is, in fact, meaningless. Yeah, what a time in these markets. Yeah, I got out of Sox L, continuing to kind of grind here, but I'm just happy I took a small Sox W on it, I have to say. That was my best name of the day. Proud of what I did with that Sox L. Snapchat, though, also ended up snapping to the upside, and it had to do with patience. I'll show the snap again, because I am really proud of just the fact that I waited for what I wanted. I wasn't able to get the initial short I wanted. In fact, I actually took a long, and I did like the long at the time, to be clear. We were bouncing off VWAP. It just wasn't meant to be. Then I was like, if we keep rejecting here, I'll try to get short. We missed the short, but then when we saw us coming back and failing 15, that's when I got involved in the short there, right? So what I want to say with this is just if you like a level, wait and be patient, just echoing some stuff that Neil said earlier, making sure that you have your plan. And yeah, so happy we're able to snap up some Snapchat to the downside there, and just making sure that even in the losing trades, are kind of executed accordingly. That being said, this Tesla, could this be a flat top break? Could it be a drop top, I guess? If we're going to talk about cars, it could be a drop top moment here at this 185. We're seeing higher lows. So I think this Tesla, I've been talking about this 185, not all day, but since we started to see it form. We still have those little bearish wicks that I don't love, but I think this could be an interesting look for Tesla. I want to see something I like. If we reject that 185 again, I'm going, or 185.50, I'll go short the Tesla. If we continue to bounce off that 9 EMA, I'll go long the Tesla. Either way, I want to wrestle with Tesla at these levels. Also, Rami Atia was saying, thoughts on Amazon, please? I know you said I pronounced it right. Yeah.
Very well.
You
have no idea, like, the variations. Ask him how many different variations people have used of his last name. Well pronounced.
Oh, okay, yeah, this Amazon is interesting. I think there is a repeated level at this 179.70 area, right? We kind of have that little baby swoop up to the downside. We try it again. Oh, hey, can we go long? No. Another red candle to the downside. We try once again, complete with this bearish wick up here into 180s, and once again we reject. So I think for whatever reason that 179.80 level on Amazon is interesting. Sharif mentioned the 180 being a level that he was charting on the day for AMZN. But yeah, Amazon, I think we keep bouncing off that 178.60. It's actually a nice range. So that's definitely worth noting. But I think a little bit of resistance here at 179.60. I see some bears growling. Is it still Apple, AMD, Tesla? Apple, AMD, Tesla short for Sean. So the Sean shorts, the short Katina continues. And you can check it out yourself on our second stream. This is more Trader TV. That's where you can see Sean and Neil's positions all time. And he is reloaded. in those shorts. For a second, I thought you did mean the fruit salad button. I was like, oh, cool. But yeah, we're going to have a fruit salad anyway. I do like fruit salad, yeah. I like pineapple. I love pineapple. I love raspberries. I always, when there's raspberry sales at my grocery store, I get a whole bunch and I just, yeah, fresh raspberries, right? But yeah, Amazon looking pretty fresh as we continue to reject that 179.60 area. I'll take a quick look at the daily for you to see what we might get express delivered for us on Amazon and earnings. Okay, this is interesting. Amazon did make this lower high. This 185 area kind of dicey. We had this wick up above. We couldn't fulfill it. Right now, just barely bouncing off this 9 EMA here on the daily chart for AMZN, but I am seeing lower highs and lower lows since that 190 that we had coming back to April 11th. I think Amazon earnings could get really interesting. I want to see what kind of earnings and revenue projections Amazon delivers. And you know, we'll find out tonight, market recap. Sean and I will give you Amazon, AMD, SMCI, Starbucks. You won't need the caffeine because they'll have these Starbucks at all earnings coming to you at 4. How are you?
I love it. We're doing well here on goggles. We got a nice little, well, from the top, we got 50 pennies, but that was not our average price. Let's be real about it. So we get a nice little profitable trade. Excuse me, I was running back from the bathroom there. On GOOGL, looking for that 20-period rejection, but I got to tell you the truth. I weaseled my way out of this trade because it did not hold up at the level that I was initially looking at. And the level I was initially looking at was the 10. You never really know if they're going to be more shallow retracements or the deeper ones. I'm going to keep mentioning this. You know, the deeper retracements typically come into the 20. Some of them come into the 50. It's going to be you and your whether you're lucky or good spotting where it's going to retrace. But anyway, rejecting the 20 on that occasion. Previously, it had been the 10. I didn't get filled on my Tesla short because it didn't make its way up to my entry, and my entry's still there. So that 185.60, I still have my level there, and that level takes us back into these wicking candles that we were doing earlier. So this is why I placed it there to defend this level. And the 50 period, it didn't make its way into the 60s. It didn't make its way into the 50 period. It did reject a $0.50 though, and right back down below 185 goes Tesla. So, you know, I'll go unfilled there on that Tesla short. What else is going on? Apple, for whatever reason, popped into the 50 period again. It is now positive on the day, above 173.5. It's knocking on the door 2/3, and 2/3 looks like it's going to open at the 70 level. I'm talking about 173.70. It has the 50 period. And look at what happened last time around at that 50 period. We rejected. It wasn't a VWAP rejection. It wasn't a 174 rejection. It was a 50 EMA on the 5 rejection. So we'll see if it makes its way back into around 70. I'd be looking to short Apple, quite frankly. There's nothing positive about it today. Maybe it's up on the day, technically up 0.06. But look at this chart pattern. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. That's 4 lower highs. And the lower lows they're in the same amount as well. So downward channel on AAPL. If it comes into this level, I'm looking to get short. So much so do I like this. I'm going to go ahead and put that resting order now on the dead one to get short. And I like that 173. We'll put it at 69 because, well, what's life without Whimsy Adara?
Oh, those VWAP, you were killing those VWAP projections.
Well, I ended up going red on Apple because of these stupid trades over here, but that's neither here nor there. All right, so I put my short to get, my order to get short. Now, it may not trigger in the same way that the Tesla one didn't trigger. If that's the case, that's fine, but I am looking Apple short at these levels. What did the future do? Okay, so the future pumped up. So now we are above these local highs on the future. Let's have a look at this. So what's going on here? Now we have this previous level, that 17.7 1/3 to about 17.7 1/3. We had as a bottom and low. That was around 11:45, 11:50 this morning. We haven't been back at these levels since till right now, right? Kind of that rounded bottom coming into those levels now. Whether or not we keep retracing, maybe reclaim that 800-point level at VWAP. I don't know. I got my doubts about that. But this rounded bottom is quite telling on the future now, taking the 10, the 20, and looks like it's going for the 50 here on the NQ June contract. I also wanted to mention somebody in the chat reminded me earlier to tell you guys. No, I need to show the chart, Rammer. So this is the NQ. The NQ is the big boy. I only use the NQ to chart because that's what the institutions are trading. But you don't have to trade the NQ. You can trade the MNQ, right? And that is even like a step down. Now there's even more. There's bigger steps down, like the TQQs, the Qs, right? These are all derivatives of the same thing that we're looking at here, the NQs. The levels may not be exact, but they typically move in the same direction. Now, you're going to have to chart a little bit differently, but that I want to point out in case you're wanting to trade the futures and you didn't really want to get in, yeah, you need like 100, I think each contract's like 17,000 or something like that, 100,000, I forget what it was. Anyway, it's a lot of money to trade these NQs. You may not have the BP for it at home, so.
Yeah, that's why I feel like trading the TQs has been nice. I ended up being profitable in the TQs. I had one, my TQ short chart isn't really working for some reason, but I did try to take a long right as we broke above, but I was able to manage it okay. Or sorry, broke below, so I was able to manage it okay, all good. Also with regards to management, I want to talk about this SOXL trade because I learned a lot from this. I did end up scalping out when we had a little bit more of a drop, and I took a couple pennies on this, but I should have stayed in this SOXL long. And I have to say, I'm not gonna like, lose sleep over it, but I want to say what I learned from this trade. I did get a little bit scared. We had that move down. Sean was like short AMD. I was like, oh my gosh, there's a turn in the tides. All the chips are going short. Get out of your trade, Adara. So I got out, probably a bit of a panic sell if I'm being really honest, and I was happy I took some profit. Then I look around and it's back to the area I like. We broke above the 30s. So I was like, you know what? I don't want to have any FOMO. I did notice we were rejecting a little bit at the 39.40 area, which was an area we already rejected twice. It was previous support. It was an area I liked for a short. I tried the short, really small position, and I said, we'll give it into 40s. We broke above 40s. I was able to get out at 39s, and I'm really happy I did because it continued to the upside, right? So I want to use this SOXL as an anecdotal example of A, sticking to your plans, and B, if you like a level, feel free to try that level if you want, but make sure that you do so with very tight risk management. I risked 6 pennies for this. I risked 6 pennies for that trade, and I wouldn't have it any other way.
Nice.
So that's what I want to talk about with that SOXL. Did take a SOXL, but it's all SOX W's in terms of the lessons learned over here. And the biggest lesson is don't just panic out of a trade because you hear one chip stock might be heading to the downside. Make sure if you have all your ducks in a row, it's still a level you like. Don't run for the hills quite yet. So I learned a lot from SOXL. Still my strongest name of the day. I had a lot of fun trading this guy with all these different levels on the day. So yeah, SOXL, fun look. How are you?
And I've noticed that you've been doing really well on ETFs.
Thank
like
you.
I've seen you trade IWM before,
IWM.
right? And you've done quite well from my experience on IWM. So shout out to you getting on those ETFs that tend to be a little bit less liquid. So the fact that you're able to do well on them is kind of a chapeau. To you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Chapeau to you as well.
There you go.
For all those Apple trades.
Well, hopefully we'll get this one here. We're short Apple at the 50 period, and this was a planned trade like we finished talking about. I looked over to the Katina man. I'm like, brother, what do you think about what's happened with these here markets? He's like, look, I'm still short, but things are starting to curl up. And then he told me you don't have that much long on the show. Calm down. I'll take it easy. We're looking short here on the dead one, short 67s here, Ram, as I'm looking for that fill at 60s, that initial one anyway. We'll see exactly what we get. 4 minutes left on the show, Adara. What have your thoughts been about today? And I thought we would consolidate a little bit in anticipation for Papa tomorrow.
Yeah.
Jerome Powell, Fed chair, in case anybody's wondering what I'm talking about. But yeah, we didn't. We trended. We went down.
Yeah, I mean, the market wasn't doing a lot of Jeroming ahead of Jerome Powell's speech. It did a lot of, I want to use a quote in the chat because I think it summarizes it very well. TH, today's special word is downside. Yep. Yep. A little bit of a recovery, but generally a lot of weakness in these markets. I think people are a little bit more hesitant to see what we have to hear from the Fed. A lot of it isn't positive. We actually had a couple Feds saying that they aren't necessarily counting out the concept of rate hikes, so no one explicitly ruled rate hikes into question. I think we'll probably not do too much. I think it'll probably be in terms of the rate side, but I think the market will always react to what Fed Chair Jerome Powell has to say. So I'm going to be keeping my eye on that. I feel like I learn a little bit from the market reaction every single time I get the opportunity to watch how the market moves in tandem with what Fed Chair Jerome Powell is saying. So that's what my eye is going to be on. Also, in terms of stock plays today. I do want to read out this this comment from Kyle Burdett, because I thought this was pretty wise as well. Just talking about piecing out of positions. Watching how quickly Sean and Neil take out a good chunk for an easy win has helped me get better at that. Get that first win fast and sizable, then manage the rest. So I want to shout that out to you. That's something I've been trying to do as well with the beak wetters a little bit more, which I know Sharif does too. So I wanted to shout that out. Also, yeah, I think another thing of the day has been green. One sector that's been green have been the weed names. Nice little bull flag here trying to form for MSOS. I know Pretty Panda in the chat was saying, and we know Pretty Panda is always on at the CGC saying that unfortunately sick today, but you know what, Pretty Panda, that means you can take those day 2 plays with these weed-related names. I think they'll probably be ready for you and we're in to go tomorrow. So congrats to anybody involved in those.
All right, here are the weed names in case you want to trade some weed names. We're going to give it to them last time here, Ram before we send it to Brendo at the big desk. You have GRWG tradable up 14.5%. Tilray, TLRY up 25.5%. You have Cron 10.4. I love that. Evergen, but that one has crap volume, 6%. MSOS and MSOX, these are ETFs. One is triple levered or double levered, whatever, and one is just regular. Keep your eye on the volume on these. MSOS doing about 22.5 million shares. You also have Cureleaf, CURLF, that trades on the OTC. Shout out to Jeff Mendel. You have CGC and ACB. These are all names that you can possibly trade. For marijuana, you can see they're up big. In case you're wondering what's going on with these weed names, we did get word from the Department of Health and Human Services that they are asking the Drug Enforcement Agency, I'm assuming, to reschedule it to a Schedule 3 from 1?
Yeah,
1 from 3, whatever, to move it down. Okay?
Less dangerous.
Make it a less dangerous narcotic and therefore have less implications on, I guess, loans and stuff like that for their banking. They can't seem to do business across state borders. Something to that effect. Who cares? It's a catalyst. Weed is tradable. I'm sure you'll see the big kahunas on it. It's 2 o'clock.
Yeah, so I think it is 1 to 3. I was thinking about that, like what the schedules are. It's actually already 2. So we'll see you tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel with more Gap and Go. But right now we're going to Gap and Go to Brendan at the big desk.
See you guys.
Hey guys, yeah, welcome back in. A couple hours left on an afternoon that's turning into a pretty good one as we have a look at some cannabis names. We'll touch on that coming up, but I wanted to